And then I just distract you with my outside pawn, and you're just completely lost. So grabbing this is not equal. It is not equal at all. For one, I can kind of just challenge that, but I mean, I'm fairly confident that just pushing this makes a whole lot of sense. If he ever is to grab this, I grab his pawn. And so I didn't have to think too incredibly hard here, but we're definitely going for this. He's never going to stop my passed pawn. He has to get so deep into the position. But what I'm a little bit worried about is him grabbing all of these pawns. So for one, I can just try to trade everything off. I can bring my king, or I can push my pawn. If I push, he essentially has to take, then I take. I mean, I could probably just do this and make a queen, and that's completely winning, like this, 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 but I'll lose a lot of pawns. So I think jumping forward, and I mean, if he takes, then he's only got this one passed pawn, so I think this move kind of just clarifies stuff. Hanging two pawns, hanging two pawns, I mean, I've thought about this enough. I think it's time that we really start bringing this. And I'm fairly convinced, like, what if I go here, 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 here? I think bringing my king actually makes sense, because I'm going to have all the time in the world to make this queen. So I kind of like the idea of just stepping in. He'll go for this, I go for this, he goes for this. Then I step in. He'll step here. But then I step over and I just kind of stop this pawn. I don't play on chess.com that often, and if you see, let me move, 1834. 1835, apologies. And so what we're going for is a structure that I am somewhat similar to. If you've watched more than a few of my videos, you see that I go for the impenetrable pawn pyramid, where we trade off the light square bishop because we have so many pawns on light squares. We go for this pawn push so that we have a natural development square for my knight. If he takes, we develop with the bishop. If he doesn't take, we just develop the knight. If he takes the knight, I mean, I still think that we have to just take back. And what did that really accomplish? Oh, did it win a pawn? I mean, I think we can just play this. And he takes. I lose the right to castle. I think I'm okay with just taking here. If he takes back this way, we get a check. Not 100% sure what he was going for there. But I have a bishop for a knight. So that is all I know. So we're going to just go ahead and develop a piece. My king is in the middle of the board. We get hit with a check. We will be stepping back, then probably challenging that knight, because I just don't want this knight living on this square. So we're going to take a little step back. It looks like we're rushing into the endgame with 9 minutes each on the board. We will just put my king back to where he was, and we have our first imbalance in the position. I have yet to develop my bishop, and I have the option of doubling his pawns. What that does is it makes these weaknesses and makes this weak. So we'll be going into a rook and pawn endgame where I feel like my king is more active, close to coming to the center. So if we even trade off one pair of rooks, I think we're good to go. Or, I mean, if I don't, he's kind of going for this. So I think we're just going to go for this. It made a clear and identifiable weakness in the position. Right now, this rook is already on the semi-open file, so I'll bring this rook all the way over to attack this pawn. And he might actually have a difficult time defending this pawn, because I'm going to step forward. He can go here and then here, but then I'm just really applying pressure. Like, I could step over and be attacking all of this stuff. So that is why I trade the bishop. You never want to trade the bishop for a knight if there's not like an advantageous or a very specific reason. And this was a specific reason. We are going into a rook and pawn endgame where I'm the one applying pressure, and if ever he is to play this move, are you ready for this? We step over. If he defends like so, we can simply take this pawn, and if he takes back, it's checkmate. So it took 1 minute and 30 seconds against this 1813 to find our first tactic. There might have been another one that I missed, but we're just going to go for this. If he takes back, it's essentially checkmate, so you can't take, and I mean, you could push, but I'm just going to take back. So he's just a pawn down. He is just a pawn down. He can't... Let me think about this for a second. Did I just get hit right back with a tactic? My my rook is hanging. But so is this pawn. And if I try and do anything, then he just takes and it's not checkmate anymore. Here, here, here. Probably he takes and I step in, and I feel like I'm still the one applying pressure. So we're just going to go for this. We're just going to go for this. We step in like so to defend this pawn. If he takes, I even might take with the king. But he's got easy access to attack all of these pawns over here. Every single pawn he can attack. Boom, boom, boom. Uno, dos, tres. And so, if he takes, do I take with the rook? I mean, I feel like my rook is pretty gosh darn active here. So if I take and he attacks this pawn, I push. If he attacks this pawn, I push. If he attacks this pawn... Okay, here... I think we're just going to go for it. And... like I mentioned earlier, we made some weaknesses in the position. And so... does this make any sense? If he takes, I just take back. But this pawn push really limited his options for attacking my weaknesses. So now the rook can no longer access these two squares to attack these two pawns. So I feel actually really good about this pawn push. He got out of the back rank checkmate ideas, but I might have even pushed this instead. And so, what if I just straight up bring my king? Like just boom. You go here, I push here. If you go back here, I push here. If you go here, I come up. I think we're going to maybe go for this. King activity overall. So yes, he's attacking this pawn. For one, I could unactivate my rook, but I really like blockading this pawn. So I think we could just push forward. Then he goes back and we push again. If he attacks here, I'm really getting ready to just bring my king, and then this pawn... everything makes a lot of sense. So I think we're just going to push this pawn. Still got 6 minutes on the clock. So essentially time is really not going to be of the essence. If I go this way and he attacks here, then here, then here, I can step back and guard it. But then he's got the push. But you know what? I really like the idea of just coming in and mopping up these pawns. So I think this move is slightly more versatile. I'm like defending the rook and I'm ready to step over here if need be. But now I'm ready to come in. I can also give this check. So if this happens, I can force the rook trade. So if he does go for this, I'm just coming in. So I'm just going for these pawns. Straight up. And I have blockaded this, so there's no amazing tactics. And like I had just mentioned, you want to trade... you are absolutely insane. I don't think I even need to think about this for a second. I can simply take, and then I'm touching this pawn. So it ruins his pawn structure. He literally does not have a single pawn in the position that is not weak. So now we have transitioned from trading my bishop for the knight to create the weaknesses to trading the rooks to make way more identifiable weaknesses. So pretty much I can grab this. All we need to be worried about is his king getting in, like behind my pawns, but I'm really just not convinced, because if I win this pawn at any point, this becomes a passed pawn. So I think we're going to be okay with just grabbing this. He can step in, yes. But now this is an outside passed pawn. So I think we're going to step in. If he goes for this, I mean, we just take, right? If you take here, I take your pawn. And then I just distract you with my outside pawn, and you're just completely lost. So grabbing this is not equal. It is not equal at all. For one, I can kind of just challenge that, but I mean, I'm fairly confident that just pushing this makes a whole lot of sense. If he ever is to grab this, I grab his pawn. And so I didn't have to think too incredibly hard here, but we're definitely going for this. He's never going to stop my passed pawn. He has to get so deep into the position. But what I'm a little bit worried about is him grabbing all of these pawns. So for one, I can just try to trade everything off. I can bring my king, or I can push my pawn. If I push, he essentially has to take, then I take. I mean, I could probably just do this and make a queen, and that's completely winning, like this, 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 but I'll lose a lot of pawns. So I think jumping forward, and I mean, if he takes, then he's only got this one passed pawn. So I think this move kind of just clarifies stuff. Hanging two pawns, hanging two pawns. I mean, I've thought about this enough. I think it's time that we really start bringing this. And I'm fairly convinced. Like, what if I go here, 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 here? I think bringing my king actually makes sense, because I'm going to have all the time in the world to make this queen. So I kind of like the idea of just stepping in. He'll go for this, I go for this, he goes for this. Then I step in. He'll step here. But then I step over and I just kind of stop this pawn. So we're going to bring the king. I'm not 100% sure if I need to do this. I can probably just make the queen and we're good to go. We're going to step in here. If he pushes this pawn, then we start pushing. Okay. We're going to just start pushing. And I mean, he's definitely going to get this, but he's not. Let's think about this for a second. Got 2 minutes and 38 seconds to not draw this position. I think stepping in and touching the pawn puts him in a Zooks Swan situation or whatever, where these squares are cut off, so his only legal move is to step away from the pawn where I can grab. So we step in, touching his last pawn, and he has to resign because what else is he going to do in this position? He has to step away from the pawn. Now, going back, I mean, that was a pretty simple, straightforward game of chess, just like making some weaknesses in the enemy's position and winning in the endgame. So, fairly confident this was very accurate. Maybe that little stumble here in the opening wasn't so great, but straight up in this position, giving up the bishop, kaboom, for this ruined pawn structure, we have a tactic, but even after this, I feel like my pieces are just more active. My rook is doing stuff, I'm attacking stuff, and these pawns are still super weak. Like, yes, this pawn over here is weak, but not as weak as yours, because your king is very far away from actually doing anything. Okay, my king is close to eating these pawns, your king is nowhere close to eating my pawn. So let's check it with the computer, see how accurate it was, and I'll see you over there. And here we are in the analysis, and I'm quite proud of that game, and I'm going to be able to explain every move to you in great detail because I played like all the best moves. That was a near perfect game of chess. It was not like a crazy attacking game or anything, but simply making the right trades into an advantageous situation. And so, before we get started, take a look at this graph. Now, I try to stress the importance of endgame techniques in every single one of my videos, because look in the opening. Ain't nothing important happening. The middle game, ain't nothing important happening. One move into the end game, important stuff is happening, okay? So literally just not making blunders in the opening and the middle game, memorizing moves doesn't always work, and I have a perfect example of this because I have had this exact opening before and played the right move. So 96% accurate, 2 inaccuracies, we don't got to talk about the opponent. We go into a structure that I am very familiar with. We trade off the light square bishops, like I alluded to in the video. We have a lot of pawns on light squares, so getting rid of our light square bishop makes a lot of sense because our dark square bishop is the one that's like gonna be able to move all through the pawn structure. Does that make sense? You have all of like these like through the pawn structure moves, okay? The light square bishop doesn't have any of those moves. Imagine if the bishop was here. He's locked forever, or here, locked forever. So that's why you trade the light square bishop, and that is how you know which bishop sucks and which bishop is good. So like our opponent right here, a lot of pawns on dark squares. His dark square bishop is not so great. Even though it's on the outside of the pawn chain, still it's not so great. My dark square is bishoping. It's more of a bishop. It's a better bishop because whatever. So long story short, I don't want to trade my good bishop for his bad bishop, because if we trade everything else in the position, my bishop's going to be able to attack his pawns and his bishop won't be able to attack my pawns, and my bishop is going to be able to move around the board easier than his. I hope that was, you know, a good explanation of all of those moves. Now, in this position right here, I have literally had this position and I have played this move. That is the best move because it shuts down the ideas of this check. And he first has to move the queen somewhere, then you grab the bishop. It's not actually like that much better. Like if you look at it's 0.1, and if you just take here, it's 0.5 plus 0.5, so it's definitely not the best move. That is one of my 2 inaccuracies of the game. And so that's what I'm saying. Studying opening theory and stuff doesn't matter because I have memorized this and played it before in a game. And in this one, I just snap captured back and completely forgot and got hit with this check. It's not really the end of the world because trading the queens to prevent your opponent's king from castling is normally not a good reason to trade the queens, because without the queens on the board, the king in the middle is actually maybe a good thing. So trading the queens to put my king one step closer to the center isn't a good idea. It's only a good idea to trade like a bishop for a bishop and make the king step in when you still have the queens hidden somewhere on the board, because then the king is more exposed. But without the queens, 2 knights and some rooks are not powerful enough to actually do any problem with my king being on d7. So he hits us with a check. We step back to guard the pawn. I make a backwards retreating move. It's not an inaccuracy, but it's not the best. But I felt like his knight in the middle of the board is super strong, and I just wanted to trade it. Knight for a knight, and then I have a knight versus bishop situation. So we trade. My king goes back to the middle of the board, and now we have traded even one more set of knights. So being on this square is getting better because I'm more active. And in the end game, the more stuff that trades, my king like arriving here or like, I don't know, anywhere in the middle of the board is a good idea. And now I am one step closer to the middle of the board. And so he plays a first blunder, one move into the end game. One move into the end game, and he plays a blunder, okay? The reason for this is it undermines the defense of this pawn. And in so doing that, it puts the pawn on the semi-open file that my rook can easily access, and these pawns are weak as well. 4 minutes in, we're chilling. Okay, the reason I'm putting this rook, kaboom, this rook goes here because this rook kind of already has a job. These are the 2 semi-open files in the position, so the rooks on both of those files is what you need to do. Okay, if I go here, then it becomes hard for me to put a rook on this semi-open file. So that is why this rook. Sometimes when you're deciding like which rook goes where, so even in this position, like playing this, then this would be like, I don't know how to say it. This rook covering here and then this rook going here would make sense. One other rule of thumb is generally you want to match your opponent's rooks. So like if the rook is on this file, you generally want your rook on this file, or his rook is on this file, you want your rook on this file. So that way when the files open up, you claim the open file at the same time as your opponent instead of like, I don't know how to explain it. So say this pawn goes here, I have this file, okay? So him having his rook on this file, so if this pawn capture does take place, then the rooks see each other and we're fighting over the file, not I already have the file. I hope I explained that well. We get active with the rook, we step over, and then this is just a very common tactic, a motif that happens in so many games of chess, and I win so many games of chess simply because of these types of pawn structures. Right now, the rooks are the only thing that defend each other. Same here. Like, yes, the king is defending this one, but generally the rooks are defending each other, your rooks are defending each other, so if I do something else with my rook, this guy becomes a little bit less secure, and this one is completely unsecure. Same situation here. If he moves this rook all of a sudden becomes undefended, and there is this simple tactic. Just look at this and look for it in your games. And the more times that you catch it and the more times that it happens in games, the better you'll get at capturing it. I probably took like I probably saw this before he even played the move, but you simply capture. He can't capture back because it's checkmate. And pawns capture opening files. Whenever a pawn captures, it opens the file, regardless of which way that it goes. And so that is just how the pawns capture. So this is so common. This literally is such a common thing that happens in endgames. And this is a really simple version. You can't take back because it's checkmate. Even if it's not checkmate, I'm still going to win your rook with check. Okay? So we grab this. He gets a little bit of activity. What I'm supposed to do here is get super active with this rook. Because, yes, you hit me with this check, but I step in, you take, I take. But then I'm going to win this pawn no matter what. And I'm behind this pawn. So just getting active is what I needed to do. But this move is just as good. It's a 0.2 difference. So this feels safer. We step forward, we trade. Now my king is close to getting into the position. Like I was mentioning before, the less pieces on the board, the king more towards the center is a good thing. His king is not active. He still needs to move a pawn to even bring the king, and he's got a lot of moves before he can get to the center of the board. And my king is like pretty close to doing things. So now I have actually identifiable weaknesses and targets in the position. You can't defend this pawn with the rook unless you make all of these moves, which is hard to do. Actually, it's really not that hard to do. It is hard to do. If you step back, then I win this and I'm threatening this. So the rook has to stay here guarding this, and my king is getting ready to just gobble up these lonely pawns on the side of the board. So my pawn was attacked. We push. We bring the king. We go here, and now he goes for a rook trade. It's maybe out of desperation. I'm not 100% sure what the idea was here, but he's already got a lot of weak pawns on this side of the board, and now he's got weak pawns on this side of the board. Just look at my pawn structure, how beautiful it is, and look at his pawn structure. Literally none of his pawns can defend other pawns, and the job of pawns is to defend pawns. That is literally what pawns are supposed to do. Okay, and other pieces and stuff like that, but these pawns are... This is the ugliest pawn structure you could ever imagine. And if you see, we have equal material, but -5 for white, because his endgame is impossible to defend all of the pawns. Okay? So I take the pawn. I step in to touch this pawn. We trade here, and we're basically in a situation where if he grabs, I grab, and this endgame is a little bit important. I go ahead and play the best move, because I'm really good at chess, and I realize if he takes here, I take this, and my pawn is really close to becoming a queen. He comes in, and I grab this pawn. Now, I go for some clarification, because, for one, I can just bring my king and win his pawns like this. So, we don't even need to care about my pawns. Like, as long as my king can grab these two pawns, he can go ahead and grab every single one of my pawns. And I don't care, because I have an outside passed pawn. So, it's a 4-on-2, but that means you got to play 4 moves capturing all of these pawns. And I only need 4 moves to make a queen. So, I don't know if that's a good way to look at this. But my king can just get in and win your pawns. Like, if you're going to come back and win my pawns, then I'm going to win your pawns. And so, this is easier, I suppose. It just clarifies what's going on. It's like, I'm basically going to give up these 3 pawns for this pawn, and I'm cool with it because I know that I'm going to make a queen. So, we trade, and I'm doing this little maneuver because it kind of forces all of... I explained it in the video, and that was like 5 minutes ago, so I don't need to explain it again. But we're basically just going for the queen. We get the queen. There's a lot of different things I can do. I can, for one, just cut the king off and make him play something like this. But bringing the king is always a good idea. If the enemy's king ever steps away from the defense of this square, then my queen will go there. And like so, here's an example. We do this. The queen now blocks the promotion square of the pawn, so he will never be turning this into a queen. And so sometimes if you have low time, literally just put your queen there, and you'll figure out how to get this with the king. But now the king cannot get close enough to like dislodge your queen, and the pawn will never promote and turn into a queen. So that's just one thing you should know about endgames. Put the queen on the square that the enemy's pawn wants to promote to. But we step in, and now he is in Zugzwang, where he has to step away from the pawn. He only has one legal move. Be careful not to get checkmates in positions like this, but he has to step away from the pawn because he has no other... He can't push the pawn. He can't go here. He can't go here. He can't go here. So he has to go here, and when he does, I'm grabbing the pawn, and then that is a wrap. You are not winning this game of chess, my friend. I'm sorry for for doing that to you. It was a slow and steady, gradual, decrease in his position just slowly fell apart. It wasn't like an attacking game of chess. And if we look, like, we're almost equal material. Like, I had a pass pawn, you had a pass pawn, but it's not about material in those. It's about who's getting the queen first, because that changes everything. So thank you so much for watching my video. Sorry if that explanation was longer than it needed to be. The game was probably like 10 minutes long, and the explanation was like 10 minutes long. So either way, I love you. I'll see you in the next one. Subscribe, please. Bye. Oh, hello, and welcome back, and thank you so much for clicking on my video, my fellow chess enthusiast. If you are trying to get better at chess, you are in the right place, because what we are doing right now is facing the Sicilian against a 2,000 rated opponent, where we have the open Sicilian on the board, basically characterized by this capture in the middle. Now, there's a few things that can happen in this position. There's a lot of different lines. You can push here, you can push here, you can push here, you can push here, you can push here. And I think that's pretty much all of the main lines right there. But that's too much stuff to be memorizing. This is called the accelerated dragon. And so what we're going to do is just bring our knight here. So essentially he's going to come through and apply pressure to this knight. So we're going to develop our bishop, adding another defender to this knight in the center of the board. That is attacking our pawn over here. But what I have learned is actually going and defending it with the bishop is not what you want to do. You put your bishop to an active square. This will sort itself out later. We then want to do something with our queen. We have to keep it here, essentially. Not anymore, because now the bishop doesn't see. The bishop no longer sees my knights. Look at this. We got 4 knights. Nothing. This can only happen coming out of the Sicilian defense. And now this is probably what's coming next, where it's going to be hard to hang on to this guy. But we're going to step back with this bishop over here, eyeing this super long diagonal on the side of the board. He pushes over here, eyeing to put his bishop here. But it looks like I could take a step forward, a step over here, but then where's my bishop going? So we don't love that. So we're going to castle this way. And so we have just said to our opponent, someone is winning and losing this game, and it ain't your boy. Okay, that's a weird move. So we're just gonna, take it with a grain of salt or whatever. This knight is undefended, so there could potentially be some tactics that unwind in doing something. I would love to just push this pawn forward, but then he jumps in and attacks me. So I think we're gonna push this pawn first, so then we can push this pawn. And he put his bishop. In front of his pawn over here, the A pawn. And the A pawn is kind of the javelin that he's going to want to throw at the heart of my position by getting it here. Did that sound good? Okay, so a lot of stuff's being forked right now. I can just take, but then the bishop unblocks the javelin, so I don't love that. If I step over and he captures and I capture... Ooh, that gets scary. It walks into ideas like this. What if I just pin the knight? You take my dude, I take your dude, you take my dude? No, none of that's good. None of that is even slightly good. If I step over here and he sacrifices, let's do this. I feel like he has to defend, but I can undefend it. This is scary because I walked into a pin, but the way pins work is we're both pinned. So when the knight moves, we see each other. So it's all about who moves first. And right now what I'm doing is adding an attacker to that knight. And so I have definitely slipped a little bit further behind in the clock than I would like to do so. This attacks my queen, so we step up. Also, we're defending here. And I think we just want to go for this. It's a scary move to play, but we're going for this, I think. The knight can't jump in immediately. Pushing one of these pawns probably would have made a lot of sense. This move makes sense. So he attacks here. We're going for it. I'm trying to just crack open this position over here. So he captures here. Cool. It doesn't threaten anything. So I can throw in this capture first. We can also double attack the queen. Does that win? Like, yes, I lost the pawn. We jump in and attack the queen. You have to do something with the queen because I'm attacking it with 2 different pieces. I'm also attacking the rook. Is there anything meaningful that he can do with the queen? This is a crazy looking move. He could just double attack on the queen, right? That's the move that needed to be played right there, I think. And if you capture, well, for one, I can throw in a check first and then take the queen. So not only that, it just makes matters even worse. So now I think it is probably time to cash out on the rook, you capture like that. I'm capturing like this. I'm going to look at this guy. That's scary. We go here. No other move to play. If he moves the knight, we have a check. Check. Here, we get out of it. We have to play this. That was fancy. I get your queen. So now it looks like we have just greatly simplified the position right now. Is there anything cool that I can do? Alright, we're going for it. He gets out. Oh, it's with check. Freaking heck. Now it's like really even. And he's got the bishops. Oof. It's not really even. I'm really losing. Oh, chess is so heartbreaking. We slide all the way into the position. Don't know what else to do. There's back rank checkmate ideas looming everywhere. He's got 3 minutes on the clock. I did not calculate something correctly in this game of chess. Okay. Literally, I have like no squares to move. I need to like boom, boom. We're going for this. We're going for this to then get a check. He just steps back. We attack this guy. This is all I've got going for me. And he can just step back and go for this. Okay, we gotta do something. Cool. We get a check. You can just bring the knight. How dandy. This is a horrible, horrible position. There's no coming back from this, to be completely honest. Look at these bishops. I don't even have any moves. Step forward? Like, what on earth did that accomplish? You can just bring the rook at some point. Like, step back and bring the rook. He's also got this. This isn't even attacked. He's defending it. This bishop is just defending everything in position. I'm not picking up any pawns. We step forward. He can pin it. That's kind of a risky move, though, is it not? Going for this. I'm so lost. I'm so completely and utterly lost. And he's got 3 minutes, bro. If you've made it this far in this video, just find some solace in knowing that we're making a comeback. Is what we're doing. We get this guy. Now he is only up all these pawns. And the knight can't move where I get this. That's not checkmate. There might be a way that I can trap this rook. I mean, not rook, knight. What if I go here? He has to play this move. But then I'm kind of running out of squares with my other rook. I need to play like something like this. Please don't be hanging some sort of ridiculous fork. He steps back and I get another pawn. I am fighting back from the ropes. Make no mistake about it. We played the Sicilian. We knew what we were getting ourselves into. Okay. We're going this way to avoid the checks. Man, he can just lock it down. This doesn't even really work. Let's shuffle around maybe a little bit. got this. And then I have to step up. Check. What on earth is happening? This is checkmate. This is checkmate. This is checkmate. Is it not? Am I ridiculous? What did I tell you, boys? We make comebacks. We get those. Never give up. Even when you're in a bad position, keep making moves. Maybe I lost a little bit of my enthusiasm while I was playing that game of chess because I realized how bad it was. So forgive me for that if I got a little bit less entertaining as the game went on. Because sometimes, you know, I just give up mentally. But for the camera, I'm still like, we got this. But mentally, I'm thinking there's no possible chance. It's minus like 8 position. I don't know if it was that bad. So we're going to check it with the computer. We're going to see how accurate that was. We're going to go bada boom. We're going to and here we are in the analysis, and that was not the cleanest performance ever. If we take a look at this graph, it shows a tale of someone that knows the opening decently, played a wonderful middle game, made a horrible tactical blunder, and then had to come back from the graveyard. If we look here, there was a mate in 9 on the board, and I had a -6 position. And so, arguably, I had a -9 position, okay? We had mate in 9 on the board, and it didn't happen, and I made a comeback. And so never give up. You know what I'm saying? Never give up. Just try and pose problems. If you blundered, there's a chance your opponent blunders. And so we hop into the open Sicilian, capture, and this is the accelerated dragon. Yes, I know my openings. Check it out. And so the best move is going ahead and throwing your pawn forward, trying to really clamp down on this d5 square. But I don't know the structure very well, and the difference between playing the best move and like the second best move is 20% of a pawn, 1/5 of a pawn, however you want to look at it. So I choose to play the structure that I am more familiar with rather than going for the best computer line into something that I don't really know all that much about. Okay, so we develop our pieces. We develop this guy because he's being attacked twice. He develops the knight. Now the bishop no longer sees my knight. We develop our bishop here because it's the best move. And if you take stock of my moves, I know the best move. I know the best move. I don't know the best move here, but it is what it is. You know, I made it out of the opening. We've got an equal position. I'm ready to castle opposite, and we're ready to just have an attacking game of chess on our hands. And so my bishop is attacked, so I simply step back. And then I believe what my game plan is to launch these pawns, is generally what I'm going for here. And so I push this, which is an inaccuracy. But the reason I'm pushing this is because I want to launch my f-pawn. But when I launch my f-pawn, I don't want this knight jumping over here attacking this guy, because I don't really have a great place to put him other than here that's not being attacked by this knight. I know that's a lot of arrows, but long story short, we don't want this knight going here, so I put the pawn there, so the knight's not going there anymore. Instead, the knight comes over here, where the best move is to give up my light square bishop for the knight. I don't want to do that because right now my bishop is, for 1, defending this square, which is kind of a weak square for my king, and then for 2, we're hitting this diagonal where the enemy's king is. So I step over into this pin, but it's really kind of a situation of who's pinning who, because you can't move the knight or I take your bishop. And so as long as he doesn't have like a check with this guy, then my queen is safe. And so it's a scary move to play, but you can make moves like this when you are like okay at chess. So he captures. This is attacking my queen, but just like we talked about, I can step up. We're all good to go. Then I go ahead and I stick with my plan. We're ready to start launching these pawns. I feel like in this position, he's got this hook, and I feel like I'm able to crack open the position better than he is able to crack open my position. Plus I have like a lot of defenders over here and sort of an attacker-defender. So in this position, I make my first mistake of the game. I'm supposed to push this pawn. If he plays the best computer line and jumps over here, he straight up just gets trapped and has to sacrifice for this pawn. If he pushes this pawn, I simply just grab a knight from my pawn and we're happy. So the 2 best computer lines, nobody was ever going to play. He was going to step back, in which case I can attack the queen. If he steps over, cool, we're coming in and getting this pawn. If he comes forward, we yet again attack the queen, defending my knight tactically by this fork right here. So he can't take, or I fork these guys, and get the queen. And so, was I going to see all of that? No. There's no possible way that any of us, that I see this. So, instead, I go with the more forcing move. Maybe not the more forcing move, but my pawn is confronting the structure in front of your king, okay? So capture, capture, boom, and then knight sacrifice, not really, but a double attack on the queen. It's a fork, double attack on the queen. This is the most fancy move of the game by far. The knight is hanging, but the queen is hanging. I'm also hitting the fork. There's a lot of stuff going on. He has to slide over, and at which point we grab the rook. Then things get a little bit out of hand. For one, I did not see this diagonal pinning my queen to the king. Didn't see that, but you always need to be worried about this. When you castle this way, it's very common that this actually happens, and your queen and king are on the same diagonal, and I don't even have a dark square bishop to confront his dark square bishop. So when you have time, stepping over with the king is generally one of the best things that you can do, simply so stuff like this doesn't happen, and you're a little bit safer here than you are here, okay? And so we have to block with the knight. We're supposed to just defend, but I decided to try and get fancy, where I only calculated really 2 moves, and he didn't play either of them. I give up the bishop. Now, what I had calculated was if he steps forward, we're good to go with this check. He has to block with the knight. We can defend. We can bring another thing. Okay, not like that, but we're going to have a really comfortable position, and we got a pawn and just a huge attack in the position. So that's what happens if he goes here. If he steps over, boom, I could still try to do something, but I guess the best move is to push this pawn. I guess you don't want to do this because the bishop comes in, so I could have just locked it down, and I still have an absolutely crushing position. If you take, I can take like this, opening my rook up, so he takes back, but then I'm going to give checks, and I'm going to figure out how to get in here. I'm like really applying pressure. Unfortunately, neither of those moves happened, and he took with the queen, because if I take his queen, he takes my queen with check, because I'm still on that same diagonal. None of that changed, and so I completely just screwed up this part of the game, essentially. Then I'm supposed to just defend. That would have been the better move, but then the queen comes in, could have happened. I feel like he probably would have just like taken, step back, step over with the king. We got an equal position, so I should have just defended. Instead, I kind of accepted my fate, which made no sense because I'm losing the knight, so it's not a fair trade. Like, yes, we're trading the queens, but I'm not getting this bishop because take with check, I step over, you get the knight, and I didn't get the bishop. And so now, look at this. He's got 3 minor pieces for my rook, and my rook hasn't even moved yet. And so we're sliding around. Really don't have a lot of great moves. I'm trying to make this wall to prevent this bishop from seeing this square so I can give this check. That is the whole idea here. So we slide over. We give a check. This is hanging. Then I push the pawn because I don't want the bishop to grab it. But there still is just this move, where these are pretty common, actually, where you go ahead and you attack me, and I can't slide back over to defend this pawn because the bishop cuts off all of these light squares, okay? So this kind of like forking thing and getting a pawn is pretty common with the bishops. So we start moving around, making some moves. I'm completely lost. Trade. It's saying to take. I'm not taking, not in a million years. Mate in 10 on the board. Yet again, the computer's suggesting that I take the knight. I'm not doing it because I need both of my rooks or I'm losing guaranteed. Now my rook is kind of active. We're like doing some stuff. And finally he makes a blunder and throws it back to complete equality. I'm hardly losing anymore because he straight up just hung the bishop. So basically the way we have it is 3 pawns versus 3 pawns, rook versus rook, and then bishop and knight versus my rook. So it's completely equal, but I would say better and easier to play from the black side. So we're sliding around. We make some moves. We step over. And in this position, he could have just locked it down. He plays this, and arguably my rooks are separated, so my rooks can't see each other or defend each other or really work together, and this rook has a hard journey of like getting into the game. The king is here, so even if I say like bring my rook here, I still can't even really get into the position. All of the squares are covered. Like all of the squares are covered. Look at that. Every single square. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. And so he didn't play it. Instead, we tickle the bishop around. The bishop moves, and we get this skewer. What is this called? I'm not really sure. Where I attack the bishop has to move, and then I get the pawn. I don't know what those are called, but that's what happened. We get the check. He steps over. I'm threatening checkmate at this point. He comes in with a check. My king hides on the side of the board. We come over here. Best move in the position. All of a sudden, I am winning. Came back from nothing. Mate in 9 was on the board, and now we got plus 2.7, where essentially I'm threatening checkmate, and I'm also threatening this pawn. So the best move is to come back with the rook, but then at that point, I'm kind of just going to grab this pawn, and then say he plays the best move. I grab this pawn. I guess it doesn't really matter which way, but in this position, I have a 2-on-1, which is good, but it's not that good. Once I win this pawn, either way, it doesn't matter. then I have a 2 on 0. And then I promise you I'm winning this game, because the 2 on 0 is very valuable. The 2 on 1 is valuable, but not that valuable. I'm not sure how like you can calculate it or whatever, but I would say that this is like plus 2.5, and then getting rid of this pawn is like plus 6. Like two connected pass pawns are powerful. Definitely when the king is close and the rooks are close. Like it might even be more than that. And so if that was to happen, then the game would have switched to pushing these two pass pawns. That's what everything would have been about. Even if he wins this pawn, I think mine are just faster. And so unfortunately, he doesn't see that. He steps back. Or fortunate for me, unfortunate for him, he doesn't step back. We give the checkmate. The only move is to block with the rook. I simply capture, and then it's a ladder mate, plain and simple, on the back of the board. So thank you so much for watching my video. If you learned anything, or simply watched, and if you simply enjoyed watching me play chess, please subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. And thank you so much. Bye. I love you. Oh, hello and welcome back, and thank you so much for clicking on my video. In today's episode, what we're going to be doing is destroying this 1816 with the Caro-Kann, and so hopefully we hop right into a main line that I can explain to you quite well. Well, we have the advance, the exchange. Often when people spend a while thinking about it, they go for the push. Or we go for the straight up main line. This is actually called the Caro-Kann main line. This is the alien gambit, but this is the tart to cower. So this is a structure that I am very familiar with and I love, and I can explain to you the ins and outs of what to do, at least with the black pieces. So right now that he has developed the knight, it is a prime opportunity to pin the knight. However, castling before pinning pieces is the priority. So what we're going to do is we're going to develop this bishop to the most, not the most active square. This would be the most active square, but it would get simply repelled by this pawn. So that's why we're putting it here. Next, we're going to castle and be putting the rook onto the same file as the king. Most likely he will castle as well. But we're still going to put the rook here because this is the open file in the position, and rooks belong on open files. And so this move right here it signifies that he wants to strengthen the center, which is never a bad move. He's defending the pawn. But in the future, my knight is going to have a journey to the square that can be repelled by this pawn. Does that make sense? So my knight in the future is going to go like this. And we're playing with 3-second increment, and I am quite comfortable with my rapid playing skills, or my bullet playing skills. Speaking of that, let's check our friend from Argentina. And if you look, if we take a gander, we step back, and we're really praying for the pawn cube structure is what we're going for. But dude doesn't play bullet, and we are in a 5-minute game of chess. So at some point, we're both going to have 1 minute, unless I get checkmated very early on. And it looks like he plays a lot of variants, some anti-chess stuff going on. I would highly recommend never playing any of those ever, because chess is hard enough as it is. So there's no need to change the rules and play a harder, different variant. It doesn't make any sense. Why would you, other than chess 960, go ahead and play that, and then maybe some horde just for fun. But I have had this exact structure in a previous game, maybe even my previous video. And so bringing the knight back here to be a defensive piece is not such a terrible idea, but I really do like my prompt idea of just trying to bring my knight to one of these squares in the middle. Obviously, we can't bring it here right now. The drawback of this is my queen can no longer get out to this square. But seeing as that he pushed this pawn, so this pawn is now defended, my queen out here attacking pawns that are defended is not really a great use of my queen. We're going to step in, and we're doing a few things now. We're attacking this pawn and we're attacking this bishop. So he kind of has to make a stepping back move, or he has to just attack me, then I take, and he gets a strong center, but he loses the bishop for the knight. And actually he can't do that because I will grab the pawn. So right now I think he has to step back, and that's just kind of uncomfortable. I can take a step forward right now and kind of, ooh, I could jump like this. This might force, because we're attacking this and we're attacking this bishop. He could step back further, but then we're really causing, my knight is making both of his bishops step back, and I just feel, sorry, you see that rattling? I'm on a new desk, and it's a $20 desk from Amazon, so it kind of sucks, but I'm in a temporary home for like 3 months because the house that I live in is getting renovated, if you wanted to know what's going on in my life. So I'm moving houses, I started a new job, I don't have a girlfriend. Look at this sunburn. Absolutely jacked, but this sunburn, I'm in a little swivel chair. Bro, the sunburn, you see that? That's the tank top. That is the tank top that I was wearing previously. And so, what's going on in this position right now? Well, this is being attacked. If we take, the queen comes up and defends the knight. Or I can step forward and just straight up attack the knight. Also, I don't like that my queen is the one defending this rook. Also, there are sort of... No, it doesn't work. I was thinking I can take here with check, and if he steps over with the queen, then this is hanging. But he can just step back with the knight. But is making his knight step back, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I like the idea of just attacking the knight. Probably what's going to happen is we're going to get the pawn cube structure, and then we can all cheer and feel happy and warm and fuzzy on the inside because we get to have a pawn cube in the position. And now I like that my rooks are looking at each other, so if this rook trade takes place, then my least active piece all of a sudden will get nice and active here on the e8 square, looking down the open file. So probably it's in both of our best interest to kind of just leave the position as is. If he takes... I actually played a quite interesting structure earlier where his queen ended up over here on b3, which was applying pressure to my f2, f7. Okay, so we're going to get the little pawn cube, and we all get to feel happy and warm and fuzzy. Look at that. Pawn cube. Queen attacked. Queen attacked. But I can trade the rooks in a way that makes his knight step back. Then I can get active. So I think we're going to go for this. It doesn't immediately do anything, but having, but having like my queen on these diagonals seems promising. I believe that we can just step forward. I mean, if he hits us, we can step forward again. So we're just trying to get super active with the queen right now. We got the diagonal by his king, and I have this beautiful pawn cube. Look how safe and happy my king is. Not only do I have a luft, but it becomes increasingly difficult for our opponent to like do any action on this open file because I have so many squares defended by my pawns, my beautiful pawn cube. Okay, bishop is attacked. Stepping all the way back to like stay active on this diagonal seems to make sense. I could also rush. Let's play a little bit faster. Actually, I don't really need to play faster because we have the same amount of time. And it's early in the morning because this guy's from Argentina. Is it? No, I'm thinking about the seasons. I've been to Argentina before, and one really trippy thing is, what do I do with my queen? I would love to like stay active, but it looks like I'm going to have to take a little bit of a step back. I can't step over because of the knight. I can't step forward because of the knight. I can't step forward because of the queen. So this maintains touching this. So he could push and I take, and he takes and I take, and he gets a pawn there, but then I attack it, then he defends it. I can throw in this check. He probably steps over. And my king is actually quite far away from being able to do any damage. This doesn't work because the rook comes over. But I step over, the rook comes over. I step here. He takes with check, I step up. Then he just defends checkmate by moving anywhere, and it's not even checkmate, he can still run away. So I like the idea of just stepping over and attacking in this square. He can defend it by just moving the knight somewhere, so that now that this was never occupied, but moving the knight would make sense to just defend this with the queen laterally and have like a defensive, beautiful queen. But I'm going to play on my opponent's weakness because now we both have under 3 minutes, soon to be under 2 minutes, and we still have queens and rooks and bishops and knights and a whole heckin' lot of pawns. So I sure hope that he knows what he's doing in these little bit of a time crunch situation. If nothing happens, I'm ready to just step into the position and attack these pawns. That is the immediate idea. Like, I'm threatening this, yes. But if he doesn't move the knight, his queen can't occupy the square, and defending these pawns will become tricky. So moving this walks into this check. But he defends it with the queen, then I take, then he steps back, then I bring my rook to the open file. He steps up with the king. Probably I attack this pawn. He could just push. I take. No, he couldn't. No, he couldn't. No, he couldn't. There would be a check at the end of all of that. Okay, so he does play this. I think everything that I just calculated seems to make sense. I step in, he steps over, I take, he takes with the king or the knight. Either way, I'm attacking this pawn. He could shut the door like this, but then we're not so worried about this pawn structure. So I think we're going with this. He has to cover. He has to cover. Then I step over. What do? I think time is everything, and stepping active into the position seems to be real smart. Attacking the knight, if he takes, I step in. He could just attack and defend. I can bring my queen back to attack the knight. Here, I step over. I think just activating my least active piece makes the most amount of sense here. Like, the queen is defended, so I'm not super worried about my my bishop getting dislodged. My rook is undefended, my bishop is undefended. I mean, but so is his rook and his knight, so who is really winning? I'm winning, because I play more bullet. Look at my bullet score. Look at his bullet score. The sooner you realize that every game of chess, most likely, it turns into a game of bullet. I mean, okay, why did I even think about that? Obviously, I have to take this piece. Now, activity is everything. I can also step back. Then he's got to do something. What's he going to do? I step back and attack the knight. If he defends, okay, so this, he has to go back somewhere. And whatever he does, I think I just get active. So we're going to step over here, attack the knight. We have two things attacking it. I could have just taken and let him take in, and then been super active with my rook and really happy. But I think he could have just pushed a pawn and stepped over and kicked me out of the position, is the reason we're not going for that. But right now, if he goes for this, we hit him with a very simple fork, which is just losing on the spot. If he steps over here, we still hit him with that same fork, and he has to step back over here. And then, I mean, I think it just gets spicy. Really what we're trying to do is make this young man step back with the knight with 37 clocks. The clock turns red. And we have to play this. I mean, there's just no other move that I feel like playing. Okay, that doesn't work. None of this cool stuff works. We're definitely applying pressure. I would love to be able to attack this pawn. How can we do that? I mean, if I go here, he just takes and I take. Then we're attacking this. He steps up and defends it. I give him a check. He steps in, defending everything. What if I just start bringing the king? He's kind of frozen. He can't move the knight literally anywhere. I can step forward like this. If I take like this and he takes, then I'm forking these two pieces. We're attacking this. He has to take. Now we're getting in this low time, but I'm attacking this and this. And the open file is covered by my king, so if his rook comes over, sometimes you just got to know when to trade into a winning endgame. And my rook is active. Okay, so we're going to have to grab this pawn. He's going to step up, but then we're going to reoccupy this open file. Maybe I should have attacked this pawn. That actually probably would have made a lot more sense. But his rook is stuck, passive. We can do a few different things here. We can go here and force this and get behind it. I like this. If he steps forward, I mean, I grab it. So he's kind of got to push, right? And then I take. Okay, he wants to play like this. Probably time to get active with the king. I am winning in this endgame. Okay, he wants to attack my rook. There's nowhere else to put it, so I'm just going to put it here. This is going to happen, but we're chilling. We take. Take. I like this. If he pushes a check, we step back, and we're going to be able to attack this pawn again. But we're really stepping forward is the idea, and he doesn't have the greatest way to bring his king to defend this pawn, and now this pawn, I promise you, is not making it to the promised land. So that undefended the pawn. He wants to go for this check, but we're going to defend with the rook to defend this pawn. If he trades, he loses, so he's pretty much got to skedaddle out of the position. That's all there is to it. And oh, by golly, I might give this check. He steps in. I can grab this pawn. He gives this check. How many pawns do you really need? Grab, check, here. I shouldn't have spent that much time thinking about it. He can give this check, but I step up, and then he does not have another check, and I'm defending this. Okay, he does have that check. We're stepping here. We're going to be alright. Don't worry about it. We're stepping forward. Grabbing this. Grab some pawns, bro. Simplify up this endgame for me. We're going to just grab this. You grab that. I'm going to push this. You can grab this. Here. Here, here, here. Jesus. We push the pass pawn, right? We just let him grab this. God damn it. We push this. Grab this. We push this. We go here. Oh my god, now he starts pushing this. We step up. We step here. Here, here, here. I'm not really sure, bro. He's gonna cover this. I so threw this away to a draw, by the way. But I think I'm doing alright. He put his king in the way of that. It gave me time. I'm gonna try and wiggle like this. Because if I can get my king here, I push. Here, here. I think he just blundered the game right here. He gave me too much time. So I was completely winning, but I think he was a little bit frazzled. You can give this check, but I step up, and then you're out of checks. So we're going to make this queen. Give this check. You can push this pawn, but then it is checkmate, my friend. Heavy sigh of relief. I almost threw that away to a draw. I'm actually fairly certain that maybe I did. How did I lose like 5 pawns so that I could grab however many? So right here, 6 pawns versus 4. So how did I trade down into an equal pawn endgame? Your answer is as good as mine. I guess I'm not that good at chess, but I won the game, so I guess we had it under control. I'm fairly certain that it was a draw. We trade off his last pawn here. We give a check and he steps forward, and we start pushing. Or just go for this. And then I'm the only one left with a pawn, but actually stopping it becomes hard because your king is so far away. So I think just forcing this move right here wins on the spot. Or draws on the spot. Impossible for me to say. I'm not that good at chess. Let's check it out with the computer real quick, and I will see you over there. And here we are in the analysis, and that was not my most accurate game of chess that I've ever played, but oh boy did we get her done. And so check out this graph. Now, I just want to highlight something for you, you fine ladies and gentlemen, is the opening. Completely equal the entire time. The middle game, a little bit of action happened, but literally everything that was important happened in the end game, and all the way down here. Check it out. I have 3 blunders. Look where they happened in the end game. My opponent, 2 blunders. Look where they happened. All the way down here on move 64, I threw it away to a draw. And that is why in the video I was definitely stressing out, because I had a crushing position, and then I threw it away to a draw, and I knew it, and that was my face trying to process that information, that I'm crushing, and then all of a sudden I'm getting a draw, and I'm fighting not to lose my pawn. And so that's what happened. So we played the Caro-Kann mainline variation. When they capture like this and you take back with the pawn, it's called the Tartakower variation, where your ideas of development are quite simple, and I will explain them to you. You develop the bishop here because it's the most active square. You don't want to block your king in this way, and if you go here, you just get hit. Next, you want a castle. get your king safe. Next, you put your rook on the open file in the position. Then you either pin the knight or put your bishop here. It's kind of interchangeable. This move is actually better, but if you want to slightly deviate from the main line, you play this move, pinning the knight. And it's not really pinned because, yes, there's a bishop there. Then what you need to do is, for one, we get attacked, so we're just going to step back, no problem. And we want to complete the prophecy of the knight zigzag to the center of the board, where you can make 1, 2, 3 moves to get to the center of the board, and he can make 1 pawn move to kick you out of it. So it really kind of sucks. And once your knight is here, you can't jump back here, or when the pawn comes in to attack it, because you can just push this pawn and fork your 2 pieces here. So once your knight gets here and this pawn push comes in, it gets a little bit annoying with your knight. You have to like step back to one of these squares, and it's not so great, but you want your knight in the middle of the board. So let's not go into too much detail about all of this. And by golly, we got my knight to the middle of the board by way of zigzag. And so now my knight is actually doing some stuff. We're attacking this pawn, we're attacking the bishop. You can't just kick me out because I'll take, and I'll grab this pawn. So you have to step back with the bishop. So my knight made you step back. Now here, I miss kind of a more or less simple tactic. I can come over here with the simple idea of attacking this rook, and the rook has no squares that he can go to that are not being attacked. Furthermore, if my bishop gets here, I'm attacking this pawn twice. So I could get in, take, and then get in with this fork. So this obscure bishop move is actually the best move for an idea that I just simply did not see. In lieu of that, I step over here with my knight, where I am essentially guaranteeing you trading a knight for... I'm trading a knight for your bishop. If you take like this, then that's what I want. Or you leave this guy here, and I just simply take your bishop, or you step back. So I'm either getting a bishop for my knight, or making another bishop take a stepping back move. And I already made this one step back, so if this one also steps back, I feel like my knight is just a little bit OP. So he takes, I take. Mission accomplished. I got rid of my knight for a light square bishop. I have the bishop pair. I feel quite comfortable about the position. We take this time to get active with my queen, trade, and now we got a beautiful pawn cube, so everybody smile and feel nice and warm and cozy inside because we got the pawn cube, and mission accomplished. He attacks my queen, but I throw in this check because it yet again makes one of his pieces step back. He can't take with the queen or I'll win the knight, so he has to step back with the knight. That is why I did that move, and yet again the knight steps back. All of his pieces are stepping back in this game. But now I guess it's my turn to step back because he attacks my bishop, kaboom, so I step back. Then he attacks my queen. I step back. He takes a little step forward, and I come over here with nasty ideas of this check that is covered because the knight is blocking the view of his queen to this square. And if I get in with this check, I'm winning this pawn. The king gets very weak. It's just, you're falling apart. You can't let that happen. It is a -2 position, and I get the check. He steps over. I bring my last undeveloped piece. Now my rook is active. He takes, I take, and then I step back attacking this guy. You can't really defend it in any meaningful way. Stepping over is a terrible idea. So you essentially have to move the knight. Well, you can't go forward, really. None of your going forward squares work. Let's look at that. If you go here, you walk into this fork, so you would just lose the knight. So yet again, the knight has to step back. Oh my goodness. And with tempo, you step back and I step in. Now I'm in your position, bro. Checking on your king. Now, turn the engine on. I want to show you guys. I wasn't cheating, I promise. Best move in the position. Stepping over with the king. Because I want my rook to do some damage, and we're afraid of his rook getting to the open file and getting into the position. If this happens, if that check happens, and I step up over here and he gets this, he's basically just going to eat all of my pawns. And so that is why stepping over with the king is the best move. He pushes the pawn on the side of the board so that he can do something with the rook, so his rook doesn't have to stay passive defending this. I guess, yes, I could have just gotten behind this pawn, and that would have worked just as well. But now I trade the bishop for the knight for the specific reason of after he takes, I'm guaranteed to win a pawn. I'm attacking 2 pawns. You can only defend 1, and pushing them doesn't work because I'll just take the pawns behind them. Not this one because it's defended, but you get the idea. So I grab a pawn, back to the open file. I got scared of taking this pawn because I didn't want his rook to get in. It never would have happened because all of the squares are taken and attacked by my pieces, but it is what it is. I step out. Sorry, my nose is super itchy. There's cats in this house, and I guess I'm allergic to cats. So, sorry about that. Now, he's got a passed pawn, but it's not a good passed pawn. It's a liability passed pawn because it's right next to two pieces that want to kill it. So I'm very quick to just grab that pawn. Right now it's a check. It looks like if I step up, I'm going to lose something, but I can just defend X-ray style with my rook. He steps up, I hit him with a check, I grab a pawn, he comes in with a check, check, I'm stepping up, I grab a pawn, he grabs a pawn, I grab a pawn, he grabs a pawn, I push a pawn, he grabs a pawn, and this is the most important part of the position. What I needed to play was check, down, another X-ray check where I'm defending my pawn through the king. Then my pass pawn becomes an issue because this pass pawn can no longer push, plus your king is really far away, plus this pawn can't push because I have pawns in the way of it. Instead, the way I did it is I lose both of my pawns for no reason, and now it's just pass pawn versus pass pawn. Yes, mine is closer, but still it doesn't really matter because he's never going to make it because I just don't have enough stuff to watch this pawn and my king. If my king ever gets to these squares to support the promotion square, you can just check me, and I'm either stepping in the way of the pawn or away from the pawn where you'll just attack it again. And so none of it's going to ever work. But, like I said, I'm on the comfortable side of the draw, where our opponent is on the scary and hard to play side of the draw because he's been losing for the past 40 moves, and all of a sudden 64 moves, and 51 moves. Sorry, I can't get anything right. And so we shuffle around, and I hide here so that this check isn't an option. I'm hiding behind the enemy's king, and then I have a new idea. Put my rook here so I can bring my king behind the rook. It still doesn't even work because it works here because I can just straight up promote and make a queen, and there's no check here. I would just take the rook. This doesn't work because once I make the queen, he can hit me with a check. I step out. He wins the queen. I'll show you. Boom, 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 and then straight up, this rook is just not stopping this pawn. I'm trading this rook for this pawn at some point, and that's all there is to it. But this idea kind of makes sense, hiding here so this check doesn't happen. I like the idea. You know, it's not the worst idea in the world. But here we give a check, he defends it with a pawn, but unfortunately that is being attacked by the two most powerful pieces on the board. And it's mate one. So take it with a grain of salt or whatever. Please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a pleasure playing chess for you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, hello, my fellow chess enthusiast. Welcome back, and thank you so much for clicking on my video. Whether this is your first time seeing me or your 100th time seeing me, just kidding, nobody's watched 100 of my videos. So, what I have learned is we're just going to take. We're just going to take and develop the knight. This is not the best move, but it's the move that I know the most about. So we're going to just go ahead and develop the knights before we develop the bishops. We're then going to casually develop the bishops, and we're going to castle opposite from our opponent because we're going to get a vicious, beautiful attacking game of chess. If he pushes the pawn, yes, I lose tempo. If he puts the knight, then okay, I get a little bit of a pin action going on. We're going to develop my bishop to look at this square. My queen goes up this way, and we're doing a 3+2 for the record. And we're castling this way. And let the games begin. Let the games begin. I have been playing an absolutely ridiculous amount of bullet, and so we're going to just castle this way. If you want to go for this, bro, be my guest. Straight up, be my guest. I'm going to put my rooks over here and launch these pawns. The rather unfortunate thing about that capture is it becomes kind of hard to crack these three pawns with my pawns in this structure. Okay, I wish there was like a better highlighting. All I know about is like what, alt? Alt is blue. You see that? And then space. Whoop, never mind. That moves everything. Bishop is attacked. We're going to take a little cheeky step back. Just a little step back. That's a weird knight move. But the same reason you don't want to take mine, I don't want to take yours. Everyone's a little bit scared. We're all looking around. No one knows where to look. Well, we got to start pushing these pawns, do we not? That's a little bit of a question. Are you going to take? You're not questioning my bishop. This knight can jump in. You can step back. I want to avoid trading stuff because what I really want to do is launch these pawns and then just figure out how to get a brutal attack, because that is how you get better at chess. And if it doesn't work out, then you get better at endgames, because studying openings and whatnot, look at this opening. I have not really studied this, to be honest with you. I have studied that. And that's not even the best move. I don't know what the best move is. So studying openings, it's rather insensical. Queen on the same diagonal as the king. Glad that I took note. Thank you for telling me. Everybody watching the video. Okay. Okay. What if I just throw him for a doozy and capture the knight and say, like, what's really going on? So I'm going to just take this moment to take a quiet, nice little quiet step over to the side. That's a scary knight. That's a scary knight. He's doing a lot of damage. So we're going to trade this off. That was stupid because now we're going to lose a pawn. Take. And I'll never really be able to get rid of that bishop, I don't think. He's going to just boom, boom, boom. And that's just unfun for everybody. So awesome. Awesome. There goes the pawn. But, you know what I mean? That's why you start with 8. You're probably going to lose a couple of them. Moving around the board as such. Tactics. Did that work? I attack the knight and I attack the bishop. Oh, you can just step back and defend it. My tactics always suck. Well, plan B. Plan B. You take my knight, I got your bishop for a knight. If you don't, I have this fork. If you just put your rook on the open file, okay? We step in. This doesn't work anymore, buddy. So we are going to be getting this fork. So all of a sudden, from the depths of despair, it seems to me that my knight has made a journey. He could have just ignored, he could have not ignored it, but there were a lot of different moves, you know what I mean? All he had to do was avoid the forking squares, and I only had one square. So it's rather unfortunate that our opponent didn't think about all of that. And I feel a lot better that my king's over here. We're defending this, we're defending this. He's going for a checkmate. That's clever. Check over and then just checkmate, and that's all she wrote. So it turns out that our friend is much better at chess than I am. But what if I mean, like, I have to play this move, correct? Is there some sort of crazy tactic that I don't see? He's going for my knight, but I can take here. Give me a gosh darn second. This is getting really complicated. Okay, not that complicated, but I can take the knight. You take. I defend my knight. I mean, he literally just steps forward. I step over. He can capture. I think, I mean, it's worth playing with 57 seconds on the clock. We step over. Undefended queen. Undefended queen. I need to play this to be able to even put a rook over here. Jesus, this is getting a little bit sloppy, if I do say so myself. He could also just kind of like go for something. What's this guy's bullet? No number. That looks good for me. 3 + 2. Okay, so that was kind of the move that I was worried about. Yes, indeed. Well, definitely looks like I'm going to just lose my... definitely looks like I'm going to just lose this guy. Might as well play this, because I'm going to just lose... Could I have stepped out? I could have at least stepped out with check and ruined his pawn structure. And had at least like a little bit of something. I can step like this, defending this, and attacking this pawn. This is getting good. 29 seconds? How did I use that much time? Gosh darn it. Gosh darn it. Okay, do something with the bishop. I grab this pawn. Don't hate it. Don't hate it. We're playing chess. Let's go. 26 seconds. What you got, bro? All you got to do is don't lose on time. We're grabbing this. That's all I thought. That's all I considered. We're grabbing this. We then come in here and hit this wicked fork. That threatens a wicked fork. I like it. We're going here. here to get this. What is that threatening? What was I looking at? Jesus Christ. We're going here with check. He probably just pushes forward. Okay, so that worked. I didn't even look at what I was playing there. I think he could probably just hit me with the sacrifice at some point. Okay. Here, and this. Okay, he's hitting me with the sacrifice. I'm stepping over. That walked right into this check. We're stepping up. Oof, I'm getting absolutely bludgeoned. Don't draw, bro. Let's look at this clock. Analysis. I have a feeling that he's winning. Go ahead and load, computer. Absolute zeros, but if we go back, it's mate in 2. Mate in 2. Boom. 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 Oh my god. Sometimes you just got to give different checks. In this position, if I was him, like after this one and I stepped here, I would have played like this. Just because. And then like played this. Because sometimes wiggling around and giving different checks, you can normally give like 3 or 4 different checks. And so sometimes wiggling around is it's going to do you right. So I got a draw, but I did not deserve it at all. So our opponent got scared in low time. And so we survived. So thank you so much for watching my video. If you learned anything or you simply enjoy watching me play chess, please subscribe. I'm trying to reach 1,000, and on my average of like 1 a day, it's going to take me a really long time, okay? Like 3 years. So if like 20 of you just subscribe right now, that would be super, super dope for me. All right. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, hello and welcome back, and thank you so much for clicking on my video, my fellow chess enthusiast. Today we are facing e4, e5 against a 1989. And so this is one of my least favorite lines in the bishop's opening because there's just less opportunities for attack. Now, I believe that I've been looking at this line. I really hope that I'm not making some sort of major error. He has to step back, but I grab the pawn back. The queen comes out, and I grab the queen. If the bishop comes out, I just develop normally, I believe. This is hanging from the knight as well, so let's just take stock of that. This is completely new for me. I've never actually got the opportunity to play this. This is my first time, but I've been studying it in the lab just a little bit. I'm kind of hoping the queen comes out, because if we trade off the queens, I'm less likely to blunder, because the queen attacks a lot of squares, and so now that's a lot less squares being attacked in the position. So my knight is still being attacked. I'm not sure which way I'm supposed to go, to be real with you. I think I'm okay with this. I really want to push this pawn forward, but his knight is in a stupid spot, if we're going to be honest. Take a look at this knight. It's in the way of this pawn, and so to get his bishop active, he's going to have to make a lot of moves. So he's still got to move this knight somewhere. So all I got to really be worried about is giving him a tempo-winning move with that knight. So we just don't want his knight moving forward and attacking something. So that's moving forward, but it's not attacking anything. Let's go for this. If we trade, we trade, and it is what it is. And we're doing a 3-minute plus 3-second instead of the regular rapid game, just because, you know what I mean? I don't want you guys sitting there forever. You can get the same information if the moves are played accurately from a fast game as you can from a slow game. And so I really have the opportunity to, for one, just get checked and then get pinned. So this check is going to be a tad bit annoying to deal with, and he'll find it. If he's 1989, this check is coming in. But I probably just play more bullet than our friend over here. Okay, so I have the option to castle. What did that change? The bishop now defends this. Castling opposite seems like a lot of fun, so let's just go ahead and do that. Jumping forward, attacking my knight doesn't really do anything, and you've still got to make a couple weird moves with this knight to even get it into the action. So developing the bishop He's got kind of actually a difficult to play position now that I'm really looking at it. What am I talking about? I've been looking at it this whole time. We're going to step back here because stepping back here looks stupid. So we're going here. Rook to the open file, question mark. Seems like a good idea. That also kind of takes away the idea of all of this. Now, jump forward, take. Let's go for it. Don't be shy. That took away the ideas of winning a pawn from this exchange. So before the knight was there, if he pushed here, I can take. No, I can't win a pawn. I'd have to move. Okay, so everything is just going swimmingly. We're going to go ahead and capture. This knight has really, I was going to say no great forward momentum. And pushing here really just walks into this. So at this moment, I'm slowly realizing, unfortunately, we're going to be playing a endgame, bishop versus knight. And I suppose I'm going to just accept it because I don't really want to walk into this because it is an opposite side castling game of chess. And so I don't want to do whatever I was trying to explain right there. Now, this knight needs a future. This seems promising. It seems promising. Never mind. We're going back to exactly where we were before. And I might just step forward. We might step forward, put these pawns, just take a moment to put some pawns on some dark squares, because I feel like the rooks are about to get traded off just completely equally. But I have a 40-second time advantage, and I have a advantage in bullet, okay? Let's actually check his profile. Dude doesn't play bullet at all. Okay. So we can happily rush into this. We don't need to, though. And I think time is everything. So stepping forward is probably going to be the best idea. We're going to need to start bringing my king to the middle. And so I could step back. Let's just trade. Bring the knight this way. If he trades this way, he's actually probably slightly better in this endgame. It's a king and pawn endgame, and so these are notoriously difficult. So we're going to go here. He can advance his pawn. So what we want to start doing is figuring out how to advance these pawns. And we have 4 over here, so it's 4 on 4 and 3 on 3. The only imbalance is the bishop versus the bishop versus the knight. And I'm somewhat weary about I just don't want my pawns. Like, he can attack my light squared pawns. So the more pawns that I have on these dark squares, the better. And then one other thing that you should just know is, like, if you put your pawns on dark squares, they're going to also capture and trade on dark squares. So once you, like, as long as you don't move them, the captures that are going to take place are going to be on the same color square, if that makes sense. So that's one thing to note, like, in an endgame. And so he's got this light square bishop, so the more pawns that I can get on these dark squares, the more happy of a camper I'll be. I can step back here, but then he has the chance to move forward. I hit him with a check, he comes in again. I jump in over here attacking the bishop, he probably just steps back. I can just jump here, take, and he steps in. I step up, he launches a pawn. I give him a check, he steps back. Let's do this. I should have maybe kept the knight on the board to really try and solidify my chances at a dub. But yeah, that was a bad move because he can just trade and that greatly simplifies the position for somebody with 30 seconds. Okay, so we're going to change gears and jump over here. I kind of wanted my knight to be there. Like, he can try and get fancy, but I'll step back with the knight to block that because I don't want to push and take like this and separate my pawns. So that's just not something that we're not going to be doing. I mean, that check doesn't really accomplish a whole heckin' lot. But we're going here. We're going here. Potentially, we push this. If he pushes here, I can trade off this extra annoying pawn that I have. If you see, I got 2 pawns on the B file. I don't need 2 pawns on the B file. Man, And I kind of like the idea of just attacking that bishop. Don't see why not. He's got this whole diagonal, bro. Kind of sucks. Here. He could just trade. But I like the idea of him trading here and my knight going to the middle. Okay, so he does, in fact, trade. I don't want this split. So we're going to take here with check. That is a check. We take this. He's got this, and I take. And then I've got a 2 on actually 2, but my structure sucks. I'm going to give him time. God damn it. I didn't give him time. It's a complete draw. Let's just check this with the computer. Complete draw. Unless I'm just completely lost. Yeah, complete draw. I'm actually losing a little bit. There is the deep freeze situation. Oh, dear Lord. There's this, where 1 pawn freezes 3 pawns. Because I can't push, he just takes. So that is the deep freeze. I did not even think about that. I was more thinking about what are we doing with these minor pieces. But I probably should have been thinking about what are we going to do with these minor pieces after... what are we doing with these pawns once the minor pieces trade? And I didn't think about it. He has a deep freeze. So... I mean, we got the dub. So, thank you so much for watching. If you liked my video or you learned anything, you want to see more, please subscribe. I try and post like 1 video every few days. I really sit down and do like 50 games and just record all of them, and then the good ones I keep and then I just post them. And so, you'll probably see me wearing the same tank top in like 5 of these shirts. I'll go change my shirt right after this video, and you guys will have no idea that it was filmed right after this. So thank you so much for watching my video. Get out of here. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, hello and welcome back, my fellow chess enthusiast. In today's episode, what we're going to be doing is playing a 1945 where I'm going to make the strong effort to castle opposite and attack, because pretty much every game of chess that I win is because I castle on the same side and I just play an equal opening and middle game, and then I win in the end game. That is like literally how I win chess, and I want to try and foster my ability to attack. And so I know this line quite well, actually. The best move is for him to push his pawn, in which case we push this pawn. If he kicks us out, we have this idea of stepping back and jumping to the middle. By the way, we're playing a casual 5+3. And a quick update on my channel. I scheduled a whole bunch of shorts because people like to watch shorts more than they like to watch long videos. That's just the facts. Or they're short, so people have more time to watch them. But I just reached 700 subscribers, so that is a huge milestone for me. I think I'm going to need to develop this guy one way or another, or this guy one way or another, so let's just go ahead and do it. I'm not sure that it makes a huge difference. And there can be some forking ideas, so most likely he'll develop this bishop here, and then I develop my bishop here. If his knight jumps to the middle, I mean, we can take it immediately, so he'll probably develop this guy. And in such a situation, if the bishop is here and the knight is here and he captures, I hit him with the fork. So there's a couple of tactics involved in all of that. Okay, buddy. You want to just destabilize my center like that? I think that I'm going to just go ahead and defend that with a knight. He can kick my knight out now. Now that I have developed this knight, I took away my retreating square for the other knight. So I'm going to have to step back here, and this knight is going to have to go on a spiritual journey to get back into the game. And unfortunately, I can't capture here because there's 2 things attacking it. So we have to play this move here. He can launch another pawn, and he's really trying to push the pet. No, he can't launch this pawn. What am I talking about? It is covered by literally everything in the position. Okay. It's looking like we got to take another step back. So I was really hoping to attack this young man, and it's just not working out that way. And it seems like he has really no huge interest in castling. So we are going to step forward. My bishop is now a great pawn in the middle of the board instead of a bishop. He can still just develop his quite naturally and castle this way. And so I have the inkling he's going to go this way. In which case, I will make an effort to castle this way and launch the pawns that way. But I'm not sure it's really going to work out for me, to be completely honest with you, because this isn't necessarily a hook. And if you see, every single one of my pieces is on this side of the board. This walks directly into this knight, bonking me on the head, and takes away this. If I go here, we're kind of maybe walking into the same exact idea. So I think I need to take the time to step back with my knight, defending this knight advancement. He can still jump in over here and attack this guy. This knight is kind of a headache. essentially what you want to do in a lot of these open Sicilian lines is trade off your knight for this knight, because your knight sucks, as you can see, and his knight is awesome, like just applying pressure everywhere. And he's got a pretty straight up idea, here, and deflect at least one of my defenders of this guy. But I think we're ready to jump forward. I still really want to play this move and castle, and then have an attacking game of chess. Let's give this guy's profile a quick gander. So he doesn't play bullet. He's really good at blitz. Oh, dear Lord. 1945. I think I'm like 1900, if that. Oh, we're playing blitz. Yeah, I'm 1906. But I play a lot of casual, so my rating generally stays the same. Quick advice to you guys, if you play chess, I would play on Lee chess and play casual, because if people aren't going to cheat, like, the chances that you face a cheater are, like, very slim. Okay. I feel like I need to push this pawn anyway. I mean, like, this pawn just belonged there. And now we're going to jump forward. And so if he captures with the knight, there is this fork. So now my knight is actually beautifully stationed. And if he takes with the bishop, I'm actually still quite happy with that. It kind of opened this diagonal. And if not, I can grab the dark square bishop in one move. And then I got rid of my knight for a bishop. Seems like a good thing for me. And not only that, if I get rid of this dark square bishop, this is a pawn on a dark square, and I kind of control the light squares. I actually quite like my position. I quite like the time differential as well. This guy is not doing so well on the clock. The queen coming out here, I mean, it's covered temporarily, but it's not going to be covered forever. And so he's going to have some cheeky ideas on this side of the board at some point. So, like, simply if he captures and brings the queen out, then there we go. I can't castle this way. He's applying pressure here. Pushing this pawn becomes more in the realms of possibilities. What on earth did that accomplish? I still need to move my queen. I don't actually need to take this guy. Is there any sort of insane tactics that I should be aware of? I mean, this knight is beautifully placed. I don't really like just getting rid of him. So we're going to take a little step up. He's got this check. Oh, dear Lord. I should have taken the bishop. He's got this check. Aye. And then what do? Step over? Should have taken the bishop when I had the chance. Now he's going to give me this check. I can't block because there is take over. But I'm attacking the knight. Yes. So let's calculate this real quick. I think that it doesn't work. Here. And if he takes with check, I step over. He would step back with the knight, and then I take. Then he brings the rook to the party. Tad bit egregious that I just made that blunder. I literally had the opportunity. Okay, so he wants to just completely knock me off the board. We might have to play this. With 1 minute and 30 seconds on the clock, this bishop cutting off this diagonal is not something that I can allow. And if I take and the queen comes in, I mean, I can do the same exact idea with the queen. He could step up and guard here, but then I can step in. And then maybe I just step up with the king, actually. Okay. So he literally came in and gave me a little tickle, and now I can't castle. So that's awesome. I can go ahead and take this bishop, but look how many pawns he has on dark squares. I'm not convinced that taking that bishop is something that I really need to be doing. So what if I step up and bring the rook? Because he's contemplating this. That's what this guy really wants to do. I can also jump forward with this knight, but then he jumps in and attacks my queen. So we're not going to do that. This, attacking the knight. The knight goes back. I take the bishop at that point. You step over, I step up. I think playing this might make sense now. And it's quite scary if I do this. Like, boom, boom. Wish I could castle. Or step up. Is that really... Is that even slightly reasonable right now? Let's go for this. Why did I do that? That opens this square. That opens this square for this fork. That was such a bad move. Was it? Take, and then the square's covered by my pawn. Maybe I'm not that great at chess, so with our opponent with 52 seconds on the clock, I really hope that he just does not flag. 3 seconds each move is sufficient to never flag. 2 seconds is sufficient to essentially never flag. The only time that I really flag, or anybody flags in an increment +2 position, is when you're in a position and you're trying to find like any move to play, but you're just completely lost. We got an open file over here. And this becomes real scary. So I think we are going to just come over with the queen. It defends this. We're still guarded against this. We can still grab this at some point. But now this pawn push comes with the idea of step back. I mean, if I just take, well, I mean, what are you going to do? Take here? I don't think that that's going to work out for him. Here, here. Or you capture this first. But then I capture. And if you capture, I get in with my queen. Let's just go for it. He can capture here first. Oh, maybe I should have... I don't know. I don't know. But if he steps back, I hit him with a check. Yeah, but I don't know how worried about that I am. I also have check. I think tactically, I got him. This guy is hanging, but I can get out of it. Check. Probably you take, I take, you take, I take, you take here, I step up. Who's winning that? I step over with the rook, but you can run. I could just take. Here. We're doing this. He can... What was that? That was a pawn? I mean, how worrisome is that? Was grabbing a pawn in this situation what he really needed to do? I'm pretty sure I'm just going to grab this knight, correct? He's got this, but I can come back. And I can also throw in a check first. So I'm up. Okay. Check, check, check. I can really just simplify everything. So, check. He's got to do something about that. Then this check, tactically, just got smoked. And now the defender of this rook is gone. We will take. He can get into the position, maybe. Like I take. And he flies into the position over here. But then, at the cost of getting my pawn, you forced a rook trade. Yeah. He got my pawn, but your escape gets blocked by my other rook laterally. He's saying, well played, thank you. I'm going to say, well, I'll put that on YouTube. And so this tactic right here, it happened really fast. The opening actually, I think, is fairly sound until we get to this point. This tactic here in the end, I know we're going to go through with the computer and everything. That was 12 minutes. This right here. You always need to look at the chain of checks. So, like, this knight taking this bishop is with a check. So that's just important to note. When this knight moves, like boom, say is it my move? What's going on here? Okay, I guess I can't move the pieces. Then these bishops see each other, and then this is also with a check. So like if I took here and he just moved the king, then I still hit him with this check, and you didn't solve your problem at all. So it's check, check, and this bishop is the only thing guarding this guy. So just because he's attacking my queen does not mean like that I don't have to move my queen. So you always want to think of like alternative ideas. Unless you have no time. If you have no time, then like move over, bro. Then just don't lose your queen. But that's if you have like 4 seconds, okay? And you have increment. But in a situation where you have 1 minute and 3 seconds with 3 second increment. So let's check that with the computer and see how accurate was that gosh darn game of chess. I will see you over there. And here we are in the analysis, and it wasn't the most accurate game of chess, but it sure was exciting, and really all it came down to was a crazy tactical sequence in the end game that were all checks. So I actually found the best computer line like 7 moves in a row in that end game, and so he had no hope after that. And so I might not be so terrible at chess. And so 2 blunders, 4 inaccuracies, 3 mistakes, 71% accurate by our opponent, and then me, 2 mistakes. 3 blunders, 0 inaccuracies, a big 0 on inaccuracies. We're either going big or going home. And so if we look at the graph, I'm winning, it's equal, I was slightly losing at one point, and then I'm crushing. And so let's just check out what we can learn from this game of chess. So we have the Sicilian, the open Sicilian, and I know this line at least a little bit up until this point. You jump here with the knight. Seems like a weird move. And then they push this pawn. That generally always happens, because if they don't, you can jump in with this check, and they trade the dark square bishop for your knight, and you take with your queen. And your queen is actually pretty annoying right here. And so that is what happens quite a bit. Now, I know the best line here as well. They push the pawn, and you throw this pawn forward, because you don't want to develop the knight and never be able to put this pawn here. So you basically got to put this pawn here first before trapping it in with this knight, because holding this square is a little bit important in this position. So, now, how often do I see this move? The answer is not a lot. Normally they develop the knight, or they do something with the bishop. I don't see this move a lot, okay? So that's why I don't know the best moves anymore. And so we develop a piece. We can straight up just take that, and it's supposed to be good for us, but whatever, we develop a piece instead. Then, this tactical line right here, are you ready? And I'm not surprised that I missed this. We jump in, sacrificing the knight to attack the queen, to make the queen move, to jump in with this fork, where he runs away, and we get the knight. And this guy still lives. And so I'm winning in this position. Now, was I going to see that and realize that this knight is actually probably going to get back out of this horrible situation? Because there's not a great way to attack this bishop, and that bishop's going to support my knight getting out of here. And if you do something like this, I mean, I can just like trade, and then, I don't know, defend. The knight will survive, long story short. The knight will survive. And so I didn't see that. Instead, we make the far more human blunder, step back. Because did I see that crazy tactic and evaluate that the knight will escape later on in the game, 10 moves away? Not a chance. So we step back instead of hanging my knight in one move and going for all that crazy stuff. So we're taking steps back. Completely equal position. I develop my bishop and turn him essentially into a pawn. And then we step back with the knight, because we're trying to guard these squares from this knight. So these knights are in a little bit of knight opposition. And so this is kind of stupid, because I can just push this pawn forward, and this pawn generally belonged on that square anyway, so making me put it there just didn't make a lot of sense from our opponent, and then he just got to do something with the bishop. Then I jump into the middle of the board with my knight. He can't take with this knight because there's this fork, okay? You take here, the pawn takes, there's a fork. Maybe even this one is better, actually, because then, I don't know. Long story short, I'm supposed to castle here. But I was pretty dead set. Best move? Best computer move is to allow this check and step over? Are you kidding me? Wow. Maybe I might be the greatest chess player ever to exist. The answer is no, because I did not see this check. So I didn't actually calculate any of this. This caught me by surprise after I moved the queen. But regardless, sometimes you get a little bit of luck. You know, you don't see something and you end up playing the best computer moves. Launching this pawn on the side to prevent this actually makes a fair bit of sense. Like, we're kind of worried about stuff over here. So yeah, we can just stop it with this pawn. Didn't care. We make a little stepping back move, because this bishop really has no scope on this side of the board, and this bishop's cutting off my diagonal, so I wanted to just trade them off. He goes back, and I go for a pawn break. My king is kind of stuck in the middle of the board. It's completely equal, but this is a hard-to-play game of chess right now. If you see, we have an absolute mess going on. And so we take, the knight can't go here, and we slide over with the queen. It's a mistake, but you know what? At the cost of losing this pawn, we have a vicious, vicious attack. And so, actually, now that I'm realizing this, once he grabs this pawn push becomes much harder to do, because the bishop covers that with check. That's something to note, okay? So instead, he lets it happen. We push, okay. Wow. So pushing this pawn, I don't have to do anything about that. I can still push here. And now the situation is different. The pawn is defended because you never captured this one with your rook. So time is everything, and I go for the pawn push. He captures, I capture back with the bishop. He can still get into the position over here, but I don't think it's good. Like, so grabbing this pawn, it's not with the position. You're getting attacked on this side of the board, my friends. So taking a pawn right here, it's the best computer line, but I don't think that it's what needed to be played. You needed to, like, I don't know what you're supposed to do. Actually, you can't move the knight anywhere, because then I just checkmate you. And so everything worked out. We take the knight, he goes here, and then this is the tactical sequence that I want you to pay the most amount of attention to. He attacks the queen. The knee-jerk reaction is, okay, step over with the queen so that this guy, or step here. One of these two squares would make a fair bit of sense. Also would be defending against this check if we need to worry about that in any situation. But what you need to look for first is, my queen is under attack, yes. But are there any checks that I can give? Well, yes, there are. And then what are you going to do about that? Well, whatever he does about that, regardless, these guys still see each other, and that is also going to be a check. And so the computer is even saying I can just take this and take this and then take this with check, a double check actually, and then he steps up and I take the knight with a fork. Then he tries to get out of here. We step over with the king, and now we're basically just playing a position where like he attacks my knight, I can step up and defend it, and we're just playing a position where I literally have more material, but he has a queen. Like I just have so much stuff going on right now. King can't castle, but I got knight, knight, bishop, bishop, rook, rook, rook versus these three guys. There's no way, not a chance. So I didn't see that. So I could, when you're winning by a little bit, you know what I mean, you can just do stuff like that. But this is the more forcing and better line to play as a human. We attack this with check. Stepping over with the king is really the best idea so that this isn't a check. And what do we do in that situation? We do just take, and then he takes. But we still got this fork. So you step over. Then I grab the rook. You grab the bishop. I grab your bishop. It gets complicated, but I'm still going to win. And so the far more human thing is you take, and they're probably going to take back this knight. And whether they do it with the queen or the knight, these guys still see each other, and then this is a check at the end of the day. And this is the defender of the rook. So all we got to do is give this check, and then we get this rook. So boom, 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 boom. And then trading the queens here is just a horrible idea for our opponent. You're losing. You are absolutely losing this game of chess. Probably what he should play is just something like this. Bless me. Alright, that was enough analysis. Thank you so much for watching my video. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one, and bye. Oh, hello, and welcome back, and thank you so much for clicking on my video, my fellow chess enthusiast. In today's episode, we are facing one knight f3, which is a strange move. So what we're going to do is go with my same first two moves, literally no matter what the structure is. I literally just go for my pawn pyramid like this, and I make it work. So we're going to just develop some pieces, and I'm not 100% sure I played this exact structure. We're going to walk directly into this pin. We're going to break the pin. We're going to develop a knight. We're then going to give this guy a little tickle. A little tiny tickle is what we want to do. We could force him back. Force him back, chase him. He really steps back, but then we push again. Let's just go for it. Queen in the middle of the board, but I'm like slightly ahead in development. So we're going for this. I think there's probably some knight sacrifices that actually work. So he's going for this. We need to grab this. We are just in a tactical smasher. I don't know, is that a good word to use? We have to get rid of this knight, essentially. Okay. Pushing forward doesn't work just yet. Attacking this pawn is just a pretty simple and straightforward plan, that this pawn is causing problems in my position. So I'd really like to just trade it off. So I can take, and then I get the pawn. So I win a pawn. Okay, we didn't get a beautiful attack or anything. He could just go for this, but I can bring the rook over quite simply to defend that. So we're going to grab this. He's got really no scope with this queen. So he's defending against this. What if I just attack it, bro? I'm coming in. How do you defend that? You have to push this. But then I just win another pawn. I feel like you have to play this. But then I could essentially force a queen trade. And I never got to castle, but I'm not really convinced that I need to. Now that I'm up a pawn and I have the attack going, he can defend it a few different ways, now that I'm looking at it. But I'm kind of ready to just launch another pawn. Okay, so he chooses this option. So, for one, I can just take, and then push. So here, we push forward. He steps over attacking. No, he can't. This. I'm attacking the queen. You've got to do something with the queen. The queen goes here, but then I launch forward defending it? Call me insane, but I think my attack is just smashing through, and I never even needed the castle. That's the one drawback of trying to hang on to your bishop. So, okay. The queen needs to stay here guarding this. Basically, I can't castle because this pawn is hanging by this rook, so I just don't want that to happen. So what if I just jump forward? Seems reasonable to me. Then I'm ready to castle, and my rook is on the open file. Oh my goodness, I'm really starting to love my position. And look at this just conglomerate of pawns in the middle of the board. And I'm ready to just castle this way. I castle this way. He threatens me with a fork. For one, I can avoid it one way. Alright, I looked at enough. The bishop's defended by the rook now, so he's got this fork, but I can step over threatening the queen trade. And yeah, he can grab the rook with check, and then I have to take here, and then he could bring a rook over, and I step over, and he could trade. I'm still winning in that endgame. I'm up 2 pawns. I've got 1 minute and 9 seconds on the clock. Don't love it. We've also got this, and then push, which is just really scary. Crashing through the position. Pushing this pawn in a key moment, actually. Or even this, boom, boom, and that kind of dislodges, so I could go boom, and if he plays forward, I just capture. So this is my new idea. This, and then if the queen comes in, my rook comes attacking the queen, and I love my position. Okay, so he's going for this. So it looks like we're going to trade everything off. Because my queen is attacked. I can either remain with the queen, but we're going to do this. He could bring the rook, but I take this first. I'm not even going to think too hard about everything that just happened. This is a fork immediately. So we're stepping forward. That blocks the forward momentum of this knight. 54 seconds on the clock, up 2 pawns, but we still got to win. So just because we're crushing doesn't mean we won the game. Would love to get rid of this guy. Here. 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 We then attack again. And you're trapped, actually. So he'd have to step here. But once he does that, I can kind of defend against his infiltration squares. So if he goes back here, yes, attacking me, but I step back, and then these 2 key squares are actually cut off. And so now the knight is not getting back into my position. This way, he could... Actually, no. My rook is doing a tremendous job just defending everything. So I'm still kind of keen on the idea of push-push. Let's just go for it. If he pushes here, we're going for this. I can maybe even get my bishop in. And we've got this rook trade in the cards, and I can even take with the bishop so I don't destabilize my pawn structure. Not sure if that's like super important, but our opponent's got 24 seconds. And I think he's just has a really impossible to defend position. We're going to take this with check. Diagonal is still protected. We step forward. He can get in with a check. Now that I realize that, that's probably his best case scenario. We step forward. Still, we've got the diagonal, so I don't hate my position. We're going to go ahead and just give him time. I'm tired of people losing on time, so we're going to take this rook. Challenge the open file. Take. And we need to be very careful about not losing. This is protected, so if his king ever wanders too far... What do I play here? Boom, boom. I think this creates a pass pawn over here. Like so. So, destabilized, yes. King can't immediately get in. Playing this. Defended by my dude. Okay, we're going for this. Boom, boom is kind of... Go ahead and give him some more time. Dude is absolutely just... We step back. defended, attacked. We're going to go for this check, potentially. I can also just get in and start nibbling away at these pawns. So we're stepping in. We're also going to push this forward. Okay, we're going to step back. This is defended. This guy is, like, not defended, but we're chilling. We're going to go for this pawn break. We'll go for this if it really comes down to it. We'll just defend everything on this side of the board. Then we go for this pawn push. We're going to just go ahead and give him some more time. We're going to give him this check. So now this king needs to actually stay on this side of the board. So he's going to trade like this. We go for this. And that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of different ways that I can win this, but I have 3 extra passed pawns, and so essentially that is how you win a game of chess. But I'm still going to show you. He wants to hit us with opposition, so what we're going to do is just start pushing this pawn. At some point, he's going to need to get in front of it. So we'll give him a check. He goes here. We go here. Where are you going, bro? We step back. And then he's going to have to go left or right, essentially. And so we are going to go this way. We're going to let him get this pawn. So we'll step over here. He can grab, but we're going to make a queen with this new pawn. And it appears that our opponent does not fancy the idea of resigning. So I'll show you a quick and easy way to checkmate this guy. He's stepping over, and so we're trying to get the king in a smaller and smaller box. So the box has yet again shrunk. Right now, I can't put my queen on another box string, so we bring the king. We bring the king. Now, shrinking the box has all of a sudden became an option because it is defended. So now he's forced with the idea of shrinking the box yet again. I think we're just going to do it this way. We'll do it this way. There's 2 ways that you can do this, essentially. You can get your king on this square and checkmate this way. Or you can bonk him on the head. He steps back to 1 square. Most likely he goes here. But then we cut him off this way. So his only legal move is to step over. We chase him with the queen. He steps over. We chase him with the queen. And we just chase him until he's stuck in a little tiny 2x2 over here. Then we're free to bring the king. And with increment, you can like really take your time with all of this. We bring the king, and now we are ready to checkmate. If we want, we can even mess with him. No, we can't. We're going to checkmate him. No point in hanging the queen or stalemating. It's late at night. I'm tired. That was a great game. Let's run through this. Let's see what's going on here. Yeah, so we just traded equally. Got the bishop, got the knight, but we just ruined the pawn structure. So we just made weaknesses in the position. And so just trade pieces if you can make weaknesses, such as doubled pawns. Generally, the way you win a game of chess, I would say like 80% of the games that you win are from just being up a pawn. Like you're able to just grab a pawn and you get into some sort of endgame where you promote and get a queen, and that's how you win. So let's check with the computer and see how accurate that actually was. It felt pretty good. I felt like most of those moves that I was making were fairly reasonable. So let's run through this. The opening doesn't matter all that much. We get some stuff developed. I'm liking it. Chasing him is the best move. Was. Chasing him again. Capture. Capture. And we just made 2 weaknesses. Okay, he could have just stepped back as well. Immediately we attack it. He can defend it like this. So I didn't see that. I must admit. He could defend it like this, or he could also just attack my bishop, and then I got to do something, and then defend it. Okay? So we trade, and here we go. -3. I guess either move was okay here. Attacking the queen. That's fancy. Cutting off the king's escaping squares. Okay. This was less forcing. And it kind of just led to a simplification into an endgame where I have the bishop versus the knight, but I'm up 2 pawns. So that's what we went for. Up 2 pawns, up 3 pawns, and just trade everything down. Create a passed pawn, defend the bishop, pass pawn on a dark square, and then we realized that both of his pieces are stuck over here dealing with all of this nonsense. So I can just like, I'm gonna be able to crack open somehow in this way and get a pass pawn because it's king. It's a king and 2 pawns versus 2 pawns instead of just a 2-on-2. A 2-on-2 is they get to a standstill, but with the king there, you're breaking through. And so let's check how accurate was it. 98% accurate. 1 inaccuracy in a blitz game. Bro, I might be the best chess player to ever live. 98%. I've only ever done that like 5 times, 4 times. It's normally like 96, 97 when I feel like it's a good game. That was a really accurate game. Holy macaroni. Please subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. Hello, my fellow chess friends. We are back at it again with another epic and educational day of chess. Today we're on Chess instead of chess.com because it's my strong favorite. Today we're facing a 1901. I am 1912. I have 10 points of elo on our opponent here. First, you're not going to be able to see this. Maybe you will. Angola, never played somebody from there. We check. He is terrible at bullet. He is quite good at blitz, and he is slightly worse than me in rapid. So, going forward with that information, we are going to try and get it into a low time situation. And so I believe we need to tickle this because if he jumps forward and he attacks my knight while it's pinned, it's no fun for me. If he steps back, we simply chase the dude around. This is not necessarily a structure that you should love, but we're going to jump forward, defend this pawn. Should I have... Was the whole point of pushing these pawns so that I could get the bishop, and now he has a little place for his bishop to get away to? Quite possibly. That was a minor inaccuracy on my part. I think I should have chased the bishop. But you know what? It's never a bad idea to just develop your pieces. So he wants my bishop. I have the opportunity to kind of like scoot forward, and this pawn push will open this diagonal, which my bishop would most likely get on with my queen. And so pushing this pawn also takes away his retreating square. So we're going to slide back. If he chases us yet again, we scoot back again. Okay, so he's going to pin us. I mean, I'm going to pretty much need to develop this bishop anyway, so I'm able to castle, so we might as well just break the pin. And the goal here is to maintain a more or less equal position. So he wants to just chase my bishop around. Be my guest. Be my guest. Not sure if, you know, he's got a weird pawn structure over here. We're definitely going to take back this way to open up the rook on this h-file and somewhat, you know, move our pawns towards the center because, you know, you don't want to capture like this. Doesn't make any sense. I mean, castling this way seems to be out of the question. Castling this way takes my rook off the file. So I'm not super opposed to not castling at all, potentially. And I mean, this knight's not doing a whole lot. Is there any sacrificial ideas? I mean, he would just take here, and I would take, and then he would take. Then I get in with my queen. But you could probably quite easily just like bring your queen or bring your rook. So I don't think any of that is going to work in my favor. We might slide here. We might do this. We're eyeing this little infiltration square into the position. And, I mean, okay, so he defends it with the king. Probably a very reasonable move by our opponent right there. Now, what is the plan forward? Could I potentially go for a pawn break? Should I just castle? It's hard to say. We're not going to spend a million years on this. These are like my two genius ideas. I can also attack this bishop, but then he kind of just reroutes to attacking my king, and I don't love all of that. I can also like step back. And this pawn push doesn't make any sense. And I feel like if I do castle, his rook is really close to just aiding in the attack. So I think castling is just not what we need to be doing here. He doesn't have a pawn break directly in the center. So when in doubt, take a step back. And all of my pieces are protecting my king. he's still yet to develop these two pieces. I mean, yes, my rooks kind of suck as well, but if we see this trade, potentially I just take with the king. We're going to just do this. He can grab this pawn, but then I get out with my rook. I mean, then I get out with my bishop. So we're going to slide here because this pawn is pinned. I don't think that I actually need to take. Like, I could just let him come towards me. I would love to move my guy. I can also castle this way and kind of just allow this. His queen would get in, but then my rook would get in. Let's take stock of our options. I kind of like taking once because this is kind of my extra pawn. So we are going to take once here. And then do we just castle and say, come and get me, bro? I can also take here. And when I do that, I'm supporting this check. And I'm opening up the H-file. So I think that seems to make quite a bit of sense for me. So we go here. If he captures, I come in with this check. Only move is back here. I think we're going to go for this. Like, he's trying to bust open the position and attack me, but your king is really naked. Like, I think you're more naked than I am. You're going to get a public indecency charge on this king right now. Because my queen is still eyeing this square. So potentially, like, doing something to defend that would make sense. Now I can take this. Wait, no, I can't. No, I absolutely cannot. What am I talking about? Castling seems to make sense. Like, yes, you grab this and get in with your queen, but then I could just slide my rook over and attack your queen. And if you grab here, I'm not convinced that you can actually get to me. So maybe pawn sacrifice for a little bit of activity. And I can also double step and get into the position like this. What is the correct move? I mean, definitely getting my king away from all of these attacks would make sense. And I can't take. Castling that way. Let's just do it. I'm completely up material. Completely up material right now. Potentially I would lose a pawn there. And I think I can still take. Correct? Because you can't take back because then I'm getting in. And like I explained, I don't think that's going to be super great for you. At the very least, I can take, check here, step over here with this check. You got to go somewhere and I win the rook. So I think now is about the time we take this pawn because it's defended tactically. So I don't think he can very well take it. His bishop could take this pawn. That was kind of silly. That undefended this. But wait a minute. I think that I calculated this correctly. Check. If you go here, I hit you with this check. And then I just grab the rook. So, boom. But what if you go here? Well, then I think that I just slide back, and it's going to be like impossible to defend all of that. That rook was doing, the whole purpose of that rook was to defend this check. So let's just go ahead and deliver this check. If he goes here, like I said, there's this check. Right? There's this check. Check. I'm attacking the rook. You can't really block it if you can't step here. So check here. And then I think we're good to go. So let's just give this check. Only move or block with the queen. But blocking with the queen isn't going to work because I'm just going to hit you with this check. And I'm just going to shred apart this dude's position. Like his two major pieces. You know, this is a loose piece. You got to be careful when you go gobbling pawns. Okay, so I can just grab the rook for free. I can potentially give a check first. Then he comes back. So I could give this check. I'm going to take a little bit of time just trying to figure out what's better, because I would love to shimmy around the king and be able to get maximum destruction out of my queen right here. So if I go here, if he does this, I just take with check. So that's not going to happen. So I could go here. If he steps anywhere on this file, I can hit him with this check, which is essentially checkmate. So I think that this is slightly more accurate. Because if you go here, okay, so I think this is actually going to work. What am I talking about? The queen is there. Okay, I spent like way too long on that position right there. I mean, we're just going to give this check. I mean, I'm going to just win this endgame, so let's go ahead and do it. Another beautiful, beautiful check. I think we're going to develop the knight, and now this is defended. Potentially jumping forward makes a lot of sense. I mean, you can take this, but you don't really want to do that. I guess you could have pinned it, but then I can defend like this. So I think maybe that's what we want to do here. Hop forward. We can allow this check. It's not going to ruin me. I think stepping forward onto a dark square, just so there's no nonsense with this guy. And potentially we just jump forward. Okay, so we're just going to trade that off. Absolutely, that's a good move. I can then throw my knight into the center of the board. Kaboom. If you take, you just are in an absolutely crushed endgame. Nothing you can do. You can attack this pawn. I can just defend. We'll defend that. And this is the part of the game where I'm going to kind of slide away from playing 100% accurate. What we want to do is just get rid of his rook. Either checkmate or get rid of the rook. So how can we do that? Well, I like the idea of giving some sort of check and pushing this pawn and getting the rook that way. That's my first idea. This is also being attacked. So let's just step and defend that. Step and defend that. This guy is weak, but I'm pretty much just going to get in, I think. And pushing this pawn also is quite scary. So if the king ever goes here, I can just attack it. So like check. I mean, you step forward like this. There's trade the rook like that. Okay, so that's one option. So boom, boom, trade the rook this way. Or check, you step to the back rank, and then you're just going to lose. Because also there's still this. So check. If he came here, I hit him with this discovery. He wants to rematch, but I just don't think that I've got it in me. And so I think run through this without... I think this was a little bit of a mistake here. I mean, maybe it's not. Developing a piece is never a bad idea. I should have gone for this. So what I'm going to start doing at the end of my videos is like guess the accuracy, and we're going to see how close I actually can get. Because also maybe some of that didn't make a lot of sense. This is all good. That retreating knight move didn't make a lot of sense. He just didn't recapture the piece. So this was just a huge blunder on our opponent's part. Like, you needed to recapture. I literally took your bishop, and unless you're doing something very intelligent, you need to just take the piece back. So you got to think about that. He lost the bishop. He did not capture back, and then we're good to go. And he even could have tried to throw this in right now, but then I slide back and defend this pawn being pinned from the queen, so I would be able to take the bishop. So he could like win a pawn, but then I would still get out. It would have been better than doing absolutely nothing, because now that's defended, and he didn't get my bishop. Okay, so either way, I think that I played like 89% accurate. That's what I feel. I think in the opening I missed some stuff, and in the end game, who knows, 89%. Let's go to the analysis. I'll see you over there. And all right, here we are in the analysis. And oh boy, am I good at guessing my accuracy, because I was pretty gosh darn close. So our opponent, 2 inaccuracies, 2 blunders, 81% accurate. We look at the graph and see that there was never a moment that I was in any trouble. 91% accurate. I said 89, so 2% off, 2 inaccuracies, 1 blunder, and I was able to basically identify my blunder of the position by myself because I knew it was like not a good move. And so the reason it was not a good move is because I had a ridiculous sacrificial idea that I was never going to see ever in my life. And so we start with the Caro-Kann, exchange variation, got a bada boom, bada bing. We chase the bishop around, and then this is kind of what I was saying. Defending here is a great move. So any way that you're defending this pawn generally makes sense. The best move is to pin the knight. Whatever, we develop a piece. We develop a piece. We defend the pawn in the center. And I was kind of questioning, was chasing this guy really the best idea? And it wasn't, because developing your pieces is better than making 2 moves to win this piece on the side of the board. We scoot forward. This does open the diagonal. I don't know if it was actually super important in the game later, but it does open the diagonal. So we scoot back, break the pin. It's a mistake, but hardly. The difference is 0.1. And so we scoot back. He takes, we take, but now we've got the open H file, and that is not good for our opponent. He pushes forward. I bring my queen out here because I want to be able to infiltrate. He defends with the king, and this is where I missed. I spent 1 minute on my blunder of the game, but it's the type of blunder where if I would have seen this sacrifice, I'm winning even more. If I go back, it's just an equal position. So what I didn't see was this. If he takes, then I'm going to take here, and he cannot take back, because if he does take back, that opens the H file and my queen arrives. And you better believe all I need is the queen and the rook, and I'm going to just destroy this king. And so I didn't see that this bishop was undefended tactically. And so he did see that. And so later on, I make my blunder. Probably what he should have done is just trade this off, because this bishop is basically in peril. He should have defended it or whatever. So he did not defend the bishop, and he did not trade off the bishop, and so now this move still stands. I took it. I thought he needed to just take back, but I didn't see that that opens up the H file with this absolutely brutal attack. And I'm not going to go into the lines, but if that happens, I win. Not only that, if he takes, I can just simply win the queen like this. And so, let alone checkmate, but I'm absolutely going to win. So here, I realized that this pawn was pinned by the queen. I got a little bit scared about it, and I scooted back. This is somewhat of an inaccuracy because I don't need to be worried about that. I can simply just take, and then my attack is still going to arrive. We scoot back, don't hate it. We take once, correct move. Take with the bishop, not the best move. I could have taken with the rook, but whatever. We take with the bishop because I like the idea of being able to move the bishop and have a discovery if the king over goes this way. He scoots forward, and this is another blunder of the game because I missed this crazy sacrificial idea where it's a clearance sacrifice. I'm getting the bishop off of the H file, and if you take with the king, I simply win the queen like this. If you take with the queen, same deal. I can also just win the queen like this. I can even come in and probably do more damage, but I would have just played this and win the queen. If you take, if you take with the rook, I don't even know which ones I explained. If you take with the rook, then I'm coming in with this checkmate, where this is the only move. I come in with this check, you come in, and I sandwich your king like this. Did I see all of that? Would I have seen all that? Probably not. It's hard to find all these checkmating ideas, definitely when there's 3 different options to take the bishop. So no matter what you take with, it's gonna be bad. And so didn't see it. Don't hate myself for that. We castle. He brings the knight. Okay, don't hate that move. But this was defended tactically. And so this rook was defending my queen from arriving here. And he takes here, and it's just, he's cooked. And I even was contemplating this. What was I thinking about for so long? I gave this check. He scooted over here, and I was literally considering this check, but his queen would have just taken me. And so sometimes in chess, if there is, you calculate one option, and you realize it doesn't work. I mean, there's a free rook on the board. Like, just take it. Just take it. He comes here. I go ahead and I pin the knight to the queen. He comes over here, and this is another inaccuracy because there's a better way to checkmate the king. Like, I can scoot the bishop forward and bring the rook to kick him out or whatever. Don't be complicated. You know, I've got 2 minutes on the clock. Trade the queens. I'm going to win the game. Absolutely, I'm going to win the game. Nothing to worry about. He gives me his check. I step forward onto the light square so that doesn't happen again. He lets me just trade off a piece. We trade off the piece. I jump forward into position. Never in a million years do you want to take this. For one, you don't want to trade a bishop for a knight for no clear reason. For two, it gives me a pass pawn. For three, then you have one rook versus two rooks and a bishop. And so he just did not want to do that. You potentially could flag me. Like, I have 1 minute and 50 seconds. So if you just keep the pieces on the board and like just let the game go on, maybe I get low on time, I blunder some stuff, you get a pass pawn, and all of a sudden you're not losing anymore. So don't do this. Like, if you're in a losing position and you still have some stuff, you can maybe like whittle them down on the clock with 1 minute and 50 seconds. It's kind of a lot. He comes in here. I step over to defend the pawn. If you let the computer run long enough, it actually thinks it's an okay move. But you don't need to. I'm not worried about this pawn. Like, I can just come in and win the game. So I step over. You know what I mean? I didn't want to allow it. Who cares? And then I believe in this position, our opponent resigned. And you basically have to, because my next move is infiltrating the position. If you scoot forward like this, I have this discovery idea. Oh, no, I don't. You would just take the bishop. And then I lost the bishop for no reason. So that's what I'm saying. Don't resign. Maybe people make moves like that, and it's not so bad. And either way, either way, that was a good game. I'm surprised at how accurately I was able to guess my accuracy. Um, Thank you so much for watching. If you feel like it, subscribe. I'm going to make more videos. Sorry I haven't posted one for like a week. I was making a bunch of shorts and stuff and snowboarding. So, all right, thank you so much. You guys are the best. I love you, and I'll see you next time. Oh, hello, my fellow chess enthusiasts. We are back at it again with another epic and educational day of chess. Today, I'm 1900 with a question mark. So, who do we get the pleasure of destroying? So, if you see here, 1900 question mark, we start with e4. We check out our opponent's profile, and he is terrible at bullet. He chose e4, e5, hopping directly into the bishop's opening. And so, this is the most boring line of all, where we basically just get a symmetrical. Wait a minute. Did I blunder immediately out of the opening? Yes, I did, because I brought the knight out, and we can go into this line. And I have made videos on this, and I have studied this, and I know exactly what to do in this position. The knight comes out, and I push the pawn, because what can happen is he takes, I take, he forks us with the pawn, the queen is defending the pawn, I have to step back, he takes the knight, I take here, he takes here, black gets the center. It's not good for me, okay? So I am actually just terrible at chess. Straight up. There's no excuse for that. I have studied the opening, and I still play the wrong moves and just give him complete chances out of the opening. I don't want him grabbing my light square bishop, so I'm going to push this pawn. And then I don't want my knight to get pinned, so we're going to push this pawn. He tickles me, and now I've got a place for this bishop. We'll do the ziggity zag with the bishop. That's how the bishops move. So he's just copying me, and we have a 1000% symmetrical position going on. Completely symmetrical. And so let's dive right on into this middle game, where I did not fight for an advantage with white whatsoever. So you know what we might do? You know, I'm fairly certain he's just blundering. Am I crazy? Then he goes for my queen. I take his queen. He takes my queen. I get out with my bishop. He takes here. I take another pawn. Bro, should I just dive into it? We're going to take. He takes mine. I am flabbergasted at what's going on right now. He can grab yet another pawn and then ultimately die for my bishop here. But I can sacrifice for another pawn with check. So I think we're going to take this pawn. He's going to take this pawn. We then take this pawn. If he attacks me, bro, I am not even sure. We're just going to take this pawn. This was the most ridiculous opening I have ever seen in my life, ever. It's like okay. So now I take this pawn, right? Yeah, because his knight can get out. So I take here. I mean, I'm not even gonna calculate it, bro. Like that's we have an absolute slugfest of a game going on right now. Okay. He took my bishop. I go ahead and take this. Was I supposed to grab this? Okay. What on earth just happened? What on earth just happened? I have no idea. I can lock my bishop into this square. I quite like the looks of that. I should probably castle. I was doing a little skincare. My face is a little like skincare. Okay. Let's just take a deep breath. What on earth happened just through all of that? I'm down 2 minutes on the clock, but I don't think it matters. Pushing this pawn forward seems to make sense, but he can pretty quickly just get away from it. Pushing seems a little bit scary. Potentially just pushing up here, but then my bishop's really trapped. What do we think about castling the opposite side? I do not know what's the correct move here. Castling this way seems kind of boring. Castling this way seems definitely not boring, but it might be more exciting for him because he's just going to attack me and I might get destroyed. We've got this pawn cube going on. What is the correct move to play in this position? Oh, dear Lord. He can just push this pawn. He can just defend it. Do I slide back? I think castling this way might be all right. But then castling this way is way, way safer. We're going with the safe option. I don't think that my attack arrives quicker by any means. He can also kind of maybe like have ideas of trapping my bishop. Okay, so he wants to just attack my knight. Cool. I mean, I'm pretty sure that I have to go back. I don't think I have too many forward options. This dies, this dies. This potentially just dies. Yes, because like what am I going to do? So what's better, this or this? I'm going to just go along with this because it keeps pressure on the pawn, defends this, and doesn't block my rook. So this would have blocked my rook in 1000%. If he pushes again, I might just take. Then he takes. My bishop is... I think, hold up a gosh darn second. I think he just had this move. No, I could have defended geometrically. Or I could have locked it in like this. If I push forward, that stops the knight from getting in, yes. But what if he goes here? Then I go here. Then he goes here. Then I go here. Slow and steady wins the race. This is really dangerous, so that I've got two valuable pieces on this super open file. The only open file, and I decided to occupy it with pieces that are not open file pieces. The rooks are the open file pieces. Okay, so if I go this way, he eliminates my defender. If I go this way, he attacks me, I step back, and we chillin'. So we do this. If he pushes in, I take. If he sacrifices, I take, then he takes. But then this is there, so we're going to just step back. I don't have any other option. We got to maintain. We got to maintain what's going on here. And this dude is just not afraid. So he wants to go for this. He also wants to go for this. But you know what, gosh darn it? What if I just hop into the middle of the board with the only dark square bishop on the board? Boom. You get in. Don't think I'm scared of that. We're sliding in like this. We're sliding in like this. The pawn is defended by the knight. This knight is a pretty good knight. I'm not gonna lie. That's a pretty well placed knight. It doesn't get much better placed than that. What if we just go for this? Break open, do I dare say? I think something like this makes sense. It like puts my rook on the open file. This bishop would see it at some point, but he's got two pieces in the way. I don't really see anything else. I can also jump in like this. And getting my knight to this square would generally be the idea. Okay, so he defends. Too bad I don't have a light square bishop to go ahead and do that with. And I'm scared. Can't be a bad move. Can't be a bad move. Immediately we go for this. Activity overall. We attack this pawn all the way across the board. We create the idea of doubling up. He's got this, but I can always just step back, and that would even defend my everything. So we're gonna hop into the position. Oh dear lord. Oh dear lord. The rooks are doubling, my friend. The rooks are doubling. Your knight is beautiful, but it looks kind of stupid. Is that a free pawn? Do I dare say? We grab the pawn. You lock me in jail. Is it a free pawn? Here and then checkmate. Oh my goodness. You don't have time to lock me in jail because there's checkmate. That's what happens when the rook gets 2 squares away from the king. So we grab this. What are the options? You can't lock me in like this, I take. If you step forward, I mean, I just wiggle on out. We might do operation, touch a pawn, come right back to where we were. And then we're up a pawn. Is there something ridiculous I'm not seeing? This doesn't work because I don't know what type of checkmate, but the escaping square is taken. Without further calculation, we take here. We just go ahead and do it. This doesn't work. We on the dark squares, my friend. We are on the dark squares. This doesn't work. We on the dark squares. Running away, my rook just gets back out. So that definitely is a move. But this is still defended, my friend. Still defended. And we are now up a pawn. Not only that, this knight is pinned to checkmate. But okay, but now getting me trapped in the position. This does trap me in the position. So you know what I said? Exactly what I said. We out of here. We out of here. We got the pawn. What's up, bro? What you gonna do about it? You gonna focus on winning back this pawn? I don't think so. I'll go ahead and push it forward, lock him in on the dark squares, and then what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, bro? I got the dark square bishop. Easy metrics to defend this knight. Oh, you want to go for this? I can step back, bro. I can even tickle your rook. No, I can't. What am I talking about? This is hanging. I step back. You step in. I mean, basically, we can't really be allowing all of this. So what if I step over, he takes, and then we fix my doubled pawns in the middle of the board? That is actually now a passed pawn. Do you really want to allow all of that? That kind of traps my rook in here a little bit. Here. Because, yeah, if he doesn't take, then I'm kind of stupid. So this is a really hoping that he takes and just gives me this. But he doesn't need to actually do that. So is stepping back the more accurate approach? Well, by golly, we're doing it. Also, we're attacking this pawn with tempo on the rook. I want to double my rooks. Like, he is super defending this pawn, but... Okay, now he defends. Reasonable move. So I'm fairly certain that doubling these rooks is just a good idea. Just has to be a good idea. His bishop actually really kind of sucks here. Do I have any sort of attacking the rook? This is my least active piece, but it puts me on this file. That's what I don't like about this. We're doing it. This is a sketchy night. Do I want to bring my king? Is it time we bring my king and just touch a little bit of everything? Because this knight can go back. I don't know. He likes his knight on this square. That's like the square the knight wants to be on. I mean, it's just like applying pressure to a little bit of everything, and I can't really kick it out other than trading it with my knight, which is very difficult to do. This knight is a little bit awkward. Okay, so he wants to create these types of ideas. I think it's time to bring the knight like this. Here, 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 here. One minute on the goddamn clock. We incredibly weaken the position of my king. I have no idea if that move made any sense. But we essentially just don't want the pawn to arrive here, so he pushes and we take. Okay. You want to bring your king, bro? I will literally bring my king. Onto the light squares. Dude's got 8 minutes. You know what we need to do? We need to trade off everything in the position. He's going for this again. I'm stepping in. This knight is very happy on this square, but it actually kind of closes up the files. I'm not 1000% convinced. And once the knight decides to like get locked in on this side of the board, I can then put my bishop back. And I believe this is called what Hikaru calls a wooden shield. Okay, so he just wants to attack. We push forward. Not even gonna think about it. This is so sketch. I need to move my my rook somewhere. Okay. Here? Question mark? I'm gonna just scoot my rook up. I've got 5 seconds each move. That's pretty nice. I like that. 5 seconds. Chilling. Because he is doing a superb job. Like, this is my extra pawn. And it's not the greatest pawn, if we're going to just be honest about it. But if I get my bishop here, all of a sudden this becomes a great idea. So we go here. If he hits us with this, we take. Then I have another pawn island. We go here. He's got this, but we take. And then I have a complete, like, dark square. I'll do it, bro. Trading this knight. Bro, get out of here. We're going to take this. That hung this. That's for sure. Is there a way to defend it? Am I just going to go down a pawn? I can push, but he just takes. And I don't think I'm winning that anytime soon. We're just going to let him grab it. I'm bringing my knight. This is all of a sudden the idea. So he can take, but then my knight gets here with check, and I can potentially win this pawn. And god darn it, I'm not sure who's actually winning this endgame. But my knight arriving here is even better than his knight arriving here or something. This is probably a pretty decent idea, I'm not going to lie to you. He can also just... And now my rook is kind of awkward because I'm so scared about this light square bishop. Now my rook can't like slide over here, which would be so useful. And he can also do like this. I don't know if that's actually good for him. He could go boom, boom, boom. Okay, so he jumps out of it. We're jumping in. He's basically got to take this pawn. Okay. I take here. Here, 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 here. No more calculation. 35 seconds. And his king is not active. This pawn becomes weak. If I can just trade everything off, I feel like I've got pretty solid chances in this endgame. Because this is not a passed pawn, and this is very much a passed pawn. And I've got a dark square bishop, and you've got a light square bishop. So if we get rid of these rooks, like we're going to do right here, like you can... We jump forward. We attack this bishop. We also attack this pawn. Oh, dear Lord. Am I wrapping things up? If you lose this pawn, bro, you are in a lot of trouble. Even though I have 40 seconds. He resigns. I mean, bro could have played on, honestly, on the clock. I've got 40 seconds. But this is going to fall. He has no meaningful checks. And once this falls, all of a sudden, then this is too weak. My knight is a god. This is weak. I can kind of like... It's not even straightforward. Boom. You don't have to take. You just go somewhere. Push this and try and lock your bishop in here. I don't know. He is lost, but it's not completely lost because I have 40 seconds and he has 5 minutes and 40 seconds. So the reason that he gave up on that is beyond me. I would have pushed harder if I was him. Never give up. Don't resign. If you got a knight and a bishop versus a knight and a bishop, there's some pawns. All you got to do is win a pawn, bro. You're going down. You're going down 2 pawns. You're going to be all right. So we're going to check that with the computer. I don't know how I feel about that game, but I'm sure am grateful that I was able to win it for you because that would have been a detrimental waste of my life if I lost that. So thank you so much. And we're going to check it with the computer. I'll see you over there. And here we are in the analysis. And oh boy, was the beginning of that game a complete slugfest. It was just like desperado after desperado. We went down that crazy line of captures, and miraculously, it was actually fairly accurate on both of our parts. And so if we look at the graph, I was struggling a little bit here in the middle game. I'm actually even down a point, but luckily, I'm amazing at chess. I'm able to turn it around. We get a +1 advantage, and we just cruise it on into the end game. And I had the opportunity to trade off all the powerful pieces with some extra pawns, and we are going to be chilling. So I had 2 blunders, 4 mistakes, 6 inaccuracies. Wait, I'm lying. That's my opponent, and he played 83% accurate. I played 87% accurate with 1 blunder, 5 mistakes, 3 mistakes, 5 inaccuracies. I can't even speak. I'm trying to think about what to say. In this opening, we had anything but a calm game of chess. So it's looking out of the opening like I'm just cool with 1000% equality. Stepping back is bad because he can take here and go down this line of captures and win a pawn potentially at the end of it. So don't hate it. He jumps in. What's the best move in the position? To go up a pawn. But oh boy, he needs to know that he ain't playing no... I'm not going to say a bad word. So we take the bishop. He takes the knight. I take the queen. He takes the queen. I take the pawn. He takes the pawn. Then I go a little bit astray, realizing like, okay, maybe this knight is a little bit more trapped than I thought. This pawn is still hanging at the end of it. So stepping back is actually the better idea. The reason that I had to grab this pawn is because it comes with tempo on the rook, and I'm down a pawn. So I figure whatever's going on in this line of captures, if I grab this pawn, I'm chilling. I don't want to just accept that I'm down a pawn and let your knight live. So we capture the pawn. It's a blunder, but only if he attacks, and he does not. So he goes ahead and he blunders. The reason is because he attacks here. Say I go here, then he gets out. I even grab this pawn, but then he grabs here, then I grab here, then he grabs here, and if I go here, he pins me at the complete end of it, and I'm just going to lose that piece. That didn't actually need to happen. I could go here, which is the best move, but then he forces us down my throat. If I step back, then he takes, I take, and the knight gets out, and he wins a pawn, and I'm also losing at the end of all this. So that is what could have happened if we decided to stop this chain of crazy captures. But we continue. I get the pawn. He goes ahead and captures here. That is the most human move. Like, the whole purpose of this knight, he's been trying to kill this knight. Look at this. He wanted it to die. He wanted it to die. He wants it to die here. He wants it to die here. So the whole purpose of this bishop and this knight is to die, but cause as much mayhem as possible. So the reason I don't capture this rook is because I figured I would capture the rook, and here's a sample line. I jump back, and essentially I'm going to have a rook for the bishop and the knight. That is what I saw at a distance, and I didn't want to have this position where he's winning with the bishop and the knight. So I figured instead of trying to not take back the knight and give up my bishop, because I figured I would probably not get the knight and lose the bishop, but I would get, like, maybe these would be equal. I figured what would happen is I would have a bishop and a knight versus my rook, and I just didn't want that. So instead of going for all that, we capture back the knight. It's completely even. We castle, he pushes, I step back, he comes in, I step forward to take away these squares, but it's still a completely even position. And so, I mean, I just have a little bit of a ruined pawn structure, and it's completely equal material. I could have then pushed forward and locked my bishop in there like that. It would have been slightly preferable to putting it here, but whatever. Then I'm losing by 1, but only positionally. Like, if he puts his rook here,